Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super duper sloppy Joe of a sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by Giant Mess. That's me, the real cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher who earned himself a film and media studies degree. Now I'm a single dad who loves to talk Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV, and comedy. On today's episode, we're going to be recapping the biggest stories from my personal life, but also from the interwebs for January 2025. We finally got into 2025 before the first quarter is over. Not too shabby in my HO. So on this here episode, we'll talk about the 25 big ideas that will change our world in 2025. Me and my daughter's brunch at Sesame Place. A history of houses. A bar crawl with a married couple, third wheel much, the iconic songs of the 2000s, top searched Sundance Films, the top searched winter hobbies and activities, the top searched cold weather comfort food, watching Descendants 1 and the Rise of Red with my daughter, trending movies, the top trending trend, which is an expression that gets to me every time. It's a trigger, folks. Trigger what? Yeah, it's a trigger. People who say that, to me, it triggers me. And then finish things off with my foray into an AI headshot generator. No, not that kind of headshot. Dear God, things are already getting dark. So without further ado, let's get started up in y'all. All right. So January, the new year. Spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, which is par for the course. But one of the articles that I saw kind of caught my eye, and I thought I would share it with you guys here. 25 big ideas that will change our world in 2025. Am I going to go through all 25? Nay. But I will. I did cherry pick a few of the creme de la creme, the best of the best. And I thought we could dive into it. Go through each one, give them a little reaction, see how that tickles your fancy. AI? Have you heard about AI, folks? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? AI, artificial intelligence, will pave the way for a shorter work week. And I'm here to say, nope. Unless they mean by shorter work week, they mean no work week, as in everyone's unemployed and has lost their jobs to... drumroll, please. Prees? Drumroll. Oh boy. The edible's kicking in. Drumroll, please. Yeah, everyone's lost their jobs due to AI taking over our shit. So, I mean, people have been talking about a shorter work week for, I've my career, quote unquote, if you can call it that, has spanned more than 20 years now. 21-ish years. And I feel like I've heard about a shorter work week for at least half that time, if not more. So I don't know, maybe get on it. And as crazy, it's one of those things that you just keep hearing about, and I don't think we're ever gonna see. I mean, if we're all right now returning to office, which is unnecessary. What gives you any hope that we're got a shorter work week coming our way? Unless it's like 4 days in office, fifth day, you don't do jack squat. I'd be like, all right, I guess I could try and swing that. But yeah, shorter work week, my ass, dude. I don't see that happening. I mean, there was some webinar that I signed up for strictly based on the name of the webinar. It was based on a book called Employment is Dead. I was like, this should cheer me up. This should get my serotonin flowing. Employment is dead. Hell yeah, brother. So I was listening to that webinar, and it was just like, yeah, they told us that AI would not replace us and would not take our jobs. And lo and behold, yeah, it did. It's like, why would you pay an intern or, an entry-level associate, whatever the minimum is, when you can pay like $20 a month for for AI to do it 1,000 times faster. It's like, I mean, I'm not arguing with it. I get it. It's just like, where do we go from here? You know, to me, it's like, I've seen plenty of movies. I know the deal. Like, it's robots are just doing everything. So then there are almost no jobs for humans. So like, what do humans do? Do we just get a stipend each month, each week? And judging by what is happening with the government, oh my God, I'm already going down this fucking ridiculous path. But hopefully you can see where I'm stumbling with this. It's like, if there's already talk about government inefficiency. I mean, we've been talking about government inefficiency since the friggin' year 2 of the government, like 1778. They're like, God damn it. Do you know how long it takes me to get my slave? Sorry if slave triggers you. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, I just shorter work week. I don't see it. I think government inefficiency, dude. Like, and then people are all up in arms and criticizing, you know, what the current administration is doing and trying to make it more efficient. And it's like, well, hopefully you don't disagree with that, because we all have agreed for centuries that the government isn't efficient. And so now they're trying to come in and make it more efficient. And you're saying, no, don't do that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we're wasting, you know, inefficient equals waste. So we're obviously wasting money on what? These programs that aren't really making us more productive. Got it. But at the same time, if AI and robots take over everything, there's nothing left for humans to do in terms of work. A majority of humans, like what? So, but we need how are we going to? Oh boy. It's like, it's scary. It's scary. Like, forget about me. It's like, you know, I've already, I'm like, all right, well, I can already see the tea leaves, read the tea leaves here and see the writing on the wall and be like, dude, there's no way I'm going to get to retire. There's not going to be anything waiting for me when I get to retirement age. I won't be, even though I've tried saving multiple times, those savings go out the door when you get laid off 1,000 times. So it's like, savings are gone. There's going to be no government program to give money to the retired by the time I'm retirement age. And forget about it. I mean, I can't even get a job now. I can't imagine getting a job when I'm 65, dude. What? So, what a time to be alive. My God. And to not know, like, to have zero clue what my daughter's going to do when she grows up. I mean, I guess you could say the same about like me, my parents and me when I was even in high school. It's like YouTube didn't exist. That's how old I am. I'm dating the fuck out of myself because no one else will. But yeah, I mean, you know, YouTube wasn't a thing when I was in high school. And now it's like I'm a YouTube quote unquote expert. Not really. But damn, it's a buzzword that people like to click on. So yeah, I can't imagine, like, is YouTube going to even exist by the time she is, you know, out of college, if college even exists. We're now at that point in human history where it's like, our college is going to exist? Or, you know, I know they're money making machines and they just the tuition keeps going up and up and up, but it's just like, there's got to be a saturation point or a breaking point at some point, right? So, wow. 2030 is going to be an interesting year because there's a lot of these big ideas that will change the world in 2025. It's like a lot of this stuff is like with a target date of 2030. It's like by 2030. So yikes. So I don't know. Shorter work week. It's like, how about no work week? I don't know. Is anyone going to be working? There was some kind of survey from LinkedIn. They publish results of where it's like employee or worker confidence or employee or candidate confidence, job candidate confidence in the job market is lower now than it was in the first month or two of the pandemic, when literally everyone was losing their jobs because everything shut down. That's how bad it is right now. Yikes. So I know people hate when I talk about the job stuff, but it's just, you spend the majority of your life doing this shit, working for someone else and it's like by the time I end up getting a job, I don't even know if I'm going to be happy about it. It's going to be like winning the world's worst lottery. That thought keeps running through my head. It's like I keep, it's like a lottery at this point. If you get a job, it's a modern miracle, and but it's instead of winning $1 million a year for life or half a bill, you get $40 an hour or $80,000 a year. And then a quarter or more of that is taken away for taxes. And then, you still go over budget. Fantastic. Here's another one. Millennial CEOs will take over. A new type of millennial CEO is emerging. The non-founder who rises through the ranks or is headhunted to lead or even turn around a company. This is a quote from, I forget who, but it says, I think companies will change for the better with millennial CEOs at the helm. I think we have a better tenor for listening and communicating in a multi-generational way where we can connect the dots for folks. I don't disagree with that, but and this is me talking from the very far reaches of the internet, like the fringe of what is hot in the zeitgeist. And you see all these job postings saying like, must know Gen Z culture. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to hire a Gen Z person then. You can't hire a millennial or a fucking Gen Xer to know that it's creepy if you know Gen Z culture at that age. Anyway, multi-generational way. I don't know if Gen Z is gonna, I don't know that Gen Z is really too fond of millennials. I know that they're not big on boomers, Zoomers versus boomers, but I don't know that they're much higher on millennials. So I don't know. Yeah, here's crossing your fingers, I guess. Single company lifers, which I can count on maybe one hand the number of people I know that have been at the same company their entire life. Not even that, I don't think. One finger. For those single company lifers, it takes an average of 33 years to climb from intern to CEO. So if you start at the age of 21, you would be 54. If you start at the age of 24, which is close to when I did, you'll be 57 by the time you're CEO. And then you'll have 8 to 11 years to be CEO, possibly, potentially, if the board doesn't vote you out. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being at a single company, rising through the ranks at the age of 21, right after graduating college, finally getting to the zenith, the peak, the thing you've been chasing your entire career, kissing ass and sniffing beeholes, and it's like just pounding the pavement, pressing flesh, kissing babies. And you finally get there at age 54, 55. And then you have a down quarter, so the board votes you out. Good God. I would love to know like the percentage of people. It's probably like 1% of people that can do that. I think about if I stayed at the same company, like the company that I started with, my career shut down like not even 10 years later, I want to say. The next company, I can't imagine working there for my entire life. The next company, it's like, forget a lifetime at a single company. I would like 3 years. Oh, you know what? That's a little greedy. I want 2 years in a row of employment at one company. And then a third would be a cherry on top. So as you can see, my outlook on the market, much brighter and rosier than a lot of these people claiming that it's worse than it was the first month or two of the pandemic. Corporate influencers have invaded LinkedIn. Corporate influencers. And that's all I see across LinkedIn now is just videos of people talking direct to camera. And I know that how ironic it's me right now talking direct to camera. Do I consider myself an influencer? Fuck no, dude. I can't influence shit, as evidenced by the numbers on this here cast. So yeah, corporate influencers. And I wrote, my note here was shoot me in the face. I just can't believe that. And someone had a great post on LinkedIn. It was like, just basically like a dialogue or script of dialogue between like a prospective job candidate who's using LinkedIn for, to get a job. And then LinkedIn's responses like, hey, so I've signed up for your premium membership and I would love to get a job. Please get me a job, please. And it was like, okay, here are some games. And here are videos from influencers. It's like, no, actually, I just want a job. It's like, oh boy, what a shit show. I mean, like, I get it. Websites are doing everything in their friggin' power to keep you as, Netflix introduced games, gamification's huge, personalization's huge. I get it. So everyone took notes and everyone's implementing it, but like maybe not everyone should implement it. Like if you are on LinkedIn playing games, you should be fired. You should be fired and replaced with someone who will not play games at work. Like who goes to LinkedIn to play the fucking games? It drives me nuts. Like let's just follow in Meta's footsteps and completely fuck over a good thing. Like Facebook originally was very simple and basic. And it's just like, here, connect with people from your school, from your work, connect and talk and share stuff with each other. And now it's just like, there's all this other stuff going on. And yet their core products stink. I mean, I'm not going to go down that road again, but like, LinkedIn seems to be following in Meta's footsteps where it's like, why do you have all these features? Who gives a care? Who gives a care, dude? I want a job. And then, I just talked about retirement, how like there's the likelihood of me retiring is zilch. And now there's a flurry of retired Americans are now heading back to work. Great. So I can't wait to be, they referenced The Intern, that movie, The Intern with Robert De Niro. And she was Catwoman. This is the second time this has had Anne Hathaway. Jesus Christ. And that's probably what's going to happen to me. I'm going to have to work for someone who's like essentially my grandchild, having them speak to me in a language that is just, all slang, all lingo that I have no idea what's going on. And then I'll think back to when, so that should be fun. AI-powered robots may hold the key to building homes faster and more efficiently. Great, more homes that are built on the cheap that are still 30,000% above what they should be in terms of asking price and closing price. At least 1.6 billion people lack adequate housing globally, a number that can nearly double by 2030, according to the United Nations. Yeah, man. We're going to get to it in a little bit with a history of houses, part but yeah, the housing market is freaking insane. We don't need to go down that road either, because I've completely put that out of my mind. It's like I'm starting to look at this, like the sad dad pad, as like a permanent fixture for the rest of my life, if I can even afford that. Because a house, like the dream of having a house, especially driving my daughter to her school, which is in a well-off, wealthier area of New Jersey and Mercer County. Driving by some of these houses and just like look at all that house. That's so much house. Can I have a little bit of that house? And all I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. All I want to do is go door to door and be like, hey, what do you do for a living? Accountant. Interesting. So AI powered robots building homes. All right, cool. I'm sure that won't go haywire. At least you won't have to deal with, you won't have to deal with like shady contractors, like my iPhone, how your iPhone has, if you open up maybe Chrome or something on your iPhone, It'll have like active tabs and inactive tabs. I still have an inactive tab open. Sometimes I'll go back to the inactive tab and I'll look and I'll be like, nope, I'm keeping that one open. And it's of the, well, I guess we'll get to it with the history of houses, but the guy who is the contractor for us in Manasquan in doing the renovation to the house that my parents purchased and just absconding, taking off with the money. Take the money and run, son. And he did for sure. And I still have that tab open because I'm like, A, I cannot believe this guy's still in business and has a website that's active. And B, revenge. And I get it. Revenge is unhealthy, right? I'm currently in the process of getting revenge on a lot of people, and it's not going to plan. So I get it. But I don't know what forgiveness feels like. I don't know what it feels like to forgive someone, to really, truly, like, what does that feel like? To really, truly forgive someone. Because even if someone apologizes to me, I'll be like, I forgive you. But in my head, I'm like, I'll never forget. Psycho. Edible packaging is a big idea that will take over the world in 2025. Where did I see this? I saw this in Dark Matter. They went to like a utopian Chicago universe. If you haven't seen Dark Matter on Apple TV, get on it. It's Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Connelly and one of the dudes from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But very good. I'll say very good. Good to very good show that might get a season 2. I don't know. But in that, when they go to the utopian Chicago universe, because they go to all these different branches of universes and whatnot, traveling through the multiverse, they stop at like an ice, like a street vendor who sells ice cream. Is it ice cream or what is it? I forget I think it was ice cream, but no, it was coffee. Right? Yeah, it was coffee. So it's like a street vendor coffee shop. They get 2 cups of coffee. They're done with the coffee, and then they just start eating the cup. Zero waste. Well, I mean, there will be waste. Surprised there wasn't like a parody of There Will Be Blood. You know how like in the 2000s or even in the 90s, there was just a slew of spoofs and parodies, like Hot Shots is the parody of Top Gun. And I think Loaded Weapon was like a spoof of both Lethal Weapon and Basic Instinct, which I don't know why I was obsessed with that. I would just love that freaking movie. And so There Will Be Waste. I feel like that would be, if it were, 1996, we would get a spoof parody of, or 2003, we would get a spoof parody of There Will Be Blood called There Will Be Waste. But yeah, I'm down for edible packaging for sure. For sure. What will be the top edible packaging? Seaweed. Seaweed is not only abundant, but this is a quote. Seaweed is not only abundant, but incredibly biodegradable, and when processed, it forms a natural polymer that can be turned into a film or pouch. Yeah, I keep, every time I'm in the grocery store, I walk by this snack in the snack aisle. It's usually in the quote unquote ethnic aisle where they sell like all the different ethnic cuisines, like Indian, Mexican, all that, and Japanese, Korean, all that. There's always that one aisle. And I always walk by like the seaweed snack. I'm always tempted to get it and never do. So maybe I'll just go for it next time, and then I'll do a little review. But I feel like that can, like, seaweed. I don't hate it, but at the same time, like, what if you get a pizza? Does the pizza come in a box made of seaweed? What? Like, I feel like seaweed obviously works for seafood, but a lot of for the other cuisines and foods, like, how is that going to work? And like, are people going to really want to chase a burger with seaweed or, it's just, yeah. I mean, I would because I am a dumpster, but most people actually have taste buds. This is another one that I feel like we've been talking about forever. That's always in the predictions list. Always, every freaking year for the new year. Going back to the moon and possibly Mars. I mean, George W. Bush was talking about that. And his reign of terror. No, I'm kidding. His presidency, his term ended in 2008, dude. It's now 16, 17 years later, and we're still talking about this shit. I mean, and I know this is completely wrong for me to say, and I never really considered myself to be much of a conspiracy theorist, though I do like to dabble. I'm not completely 100% tinfoil hat, but at the same time, it's fun to think about. And my God, with every year that goes by where we don't go back to the moon, I think, oh yeah, we for sure faked the moon landing in 1969. That's how stupid my brain is. But that's also, it's like, what, hey guys, NASA, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, well, so we went there, there's nothing there. And then we were just like, well, there's no point in going back. It's like, there's no point in going back. And Mars, dude. I mean, like, the Martian movie came out in 2015, and I forget when that was set. Oh, maybe that's a good way to look it up. When was the Martian movie set? 2035. 2035. We're 10 years away? No chance, dude. I mean, I don't know. I guess SpaceX, they've made some progress, but it feels like for every successful, it feels like their success rate is like 50%. That's a little too high for my tastes. But I guess you wouldn't need, if it's an unmanned ship, well, fuck it. Just keep shooting them off until they hit Mars. I don't know. Get your ass to Mars. Yeah, going back to the moon and possibly Mars. I mean, I would hope before I punch in for the life, I punch out. I would hope that we've made some significant strides in space travel. It's like, you can't tease me like this, dude. With all the Star Wars movies and the Guardians of the Galaxy and all the Star Trek, you can't tease us for my entire lifetime about like, check it out, this is the future. And then we get to the future and it doesn't happen. That's not fair, bro. Don't do that to me. Singles swipe left on dating apps. Yeah, dude. I mean, I do not miss dating apps at all. I do not miss them. You might be saying, whoa, Neal, did you find someone on a dating app? Well, I did. And then she dumped me. And I haven't been back on. So, but when I was on, it was like, it was a very simple premise. And it was a great premise. And when it first launched, it was like, wow, I can connect with people I normally would never run into. I got married because of a dating app. And that was back when it was like fairly simple. You just upload a couple pictures and you write a bio and you answer some questions and then you get matched and you can swipe and you get matched. Now it's just like, to get boosted, pay $3.99 for one time or $700 for the annual unlimited time. It's like, fuck you. For at least 3 in 10 adults, modern dating means online dating, and many will tell you it has never been worse. I think I've said that multiple times. It's atrocious. It's really bad. And I can't believe it's only 3 in 10 adults. That's 30% of people. I don't know. That seems low. Feels like there are a lot of people, like the youngins are on the dating apps for show, for she's. So I don't know about all that, 3 in 10, but I would imagine the numbers are going down. Like in 2025, more singles will dump disappointing dating apps and search for alternative ways to mingle. The apps transform users into gamblers. This is a quote. Locked in a search for psychological rewards that Match makes elusive on purpose. Match is like basically owns all the dating apps now. So Fed up daters are diversifying where they meet people, from niche social clubs to Strava DMs, whatever the fuck that is. I gotta look that up real quick. Tapping into a budding industry of matchmakers, dating coaches, and ticketed speed dating events, including one where friends, quote unquote, pitch each other to potential suitors via PowerPoint. Again, shoot me in the face, dude. What? No. Hard pass on all that. Speed dating, legitimately, I watched that scene from 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I know it's supposed to be funny, but I can't laugh because that thing gives me anxiety out the ass. Speed dating? I can't even make a good first impression when it's an actual date with someone that wants to have a date with me and wants to spend more than 5 minutes with me. I can't even make a good impression then. I don't think I've ever made a good first impression with anyone. And then I'm supposed to go speed dating. No, thanks. The whole friends pitching each other to potential suitors via PowerPoint. I mean, PowerPoint's so funny that that's where we are as a society, is using PowerPoint. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't hate that. I know that that is I forget which dating app it is, but it is like a feature. Like you can get your friends to issue a statement or testimonial on your behalf or whatever. And I wonder if that, instead of being a feature, could be an actual app itself. You know, as long as you get consent from the person you're trying to match with, you have an account. You can then share access to that account, almost like a Google Doc or whatever. You share access to your account via a code or a passcode or whatever. And then the friends can go in and be like, do you know how many, there are tons of people out there that are taken that love playing matchmaker. Tons. So if, like, say there's like 100 friends, maybe 50 friends even, that I would invite. And I would invite those people to this app, and I'd say, hey, if you're ever bored or you want to hook me up with someone, and you get to, from a guy's perspective, it's like you can look at hot chicks and your wife won't get upset because you're matchmaking. You're playing. Hun, I'm being wingman right now. So my guy Neal needs a wingman. No clue what I'm talking like that. So that's a cool idea, and I think I just gave it away for free on a podcast. So whoever comes up and invents that, I'll take 1% of whatever profits. So that makes sense as an app. Friends pitching each other to suitors via PowerPoint. I don't know. That actually would be a really funny, like, TV series or movie. I think that maybe not a TV series. I think that might get old after a while, but like that would be a fucking hilarious movie. Strava, dude. What the hell is Strava? Strava. So what is Strava? Strava stands as one of the most influential fitness tracking platforms in the digital landscape, combining robust activity monitoring with social networking features to create what many call the social network for athletes. Founded in 2009 and now boasting over 125 million active users worldwide, platform has revolutionized how people record, analyze, and share their physical activities. Oh boy. Strava derives its name from the Swedish word meaning strive, founded by Michael Horvath and Mark Gainey, who first met as members of Harvard University's rowing crew in the 1980s. Dear God. DMs. I don't know. I've never really gone into anyone's DMs and hit on them. But apparently that's a thing and it works. I don't know. Matchmakers. Dating coaches, hard pass. Matchmakers is interesting. I had someone ironically on LinkedIn, reached out to me about matchmaking. And I was just like, you know what? I think I trust you more than I do these freaking dating apps. That's for dang sure. And I've talked about it before, like Keeper.ai, I think has an advanced matchmaking service, and you don't have to jump through 1,000 hoops. You just pay a fee and they'll match you. It's like, you know what? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. I can't do it right now because I'm poor, so poor. But you know, when I hit the world's worst lottery, it's gonna happen. And then I'll finish off the big ideas for 2025 with this. According to a Pew Research report, 58% of Americans believe life in the United States is worse now than it was 50 years ago. So we're talking 1974, 1975, when there was like, I've heard some really bad horror stories about the 70s. Wasn't alive then. Oil crisis, unemployment, crime. So I don't know. If you were alive and aware and cognizant in the 70s, feel free to comment. That percentage, 58%, has risen 15 points since the 2021 survey. So just 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, 15 points it's risen. Yikes, dude. What is going on? I don't know. So, worse now than it was 50 years ago. Can't speak to that. I don't know. I kind of think like pre-internet, post, like I have the fortune or misfortune of being able to see like pre-internet what life was like and post-internet what life was like. And it's like, there are pros and cons. There are pros and cons. One of the pros of pre-internet was just living, like Joe Pantalone in The Matrix, just living in bliss. Just like, life is great. I don't have to know about all the atrocities and the horrific things going on in the world. I can just be a kid. I mean, it helps that I was a kid, in pre-internet days. So, and then the internet has brought me most of my revenue and income, if not all. But it has also brought me, I don't know. I think without the internet, maybe I wouldn't have gone through what I've gone through in the past 10 years, 10 to 15 years, where it's like, it's just an eye opener. You get, that raw, unfiltered feedback about who you are and what you're doing. And so like without the internet, would I still have been just gleefully, woefully, blindly, just going through life thinking like, oh, I'm this, when really, nah, you're not, dude. I watched the Texas ASU Peach Bowl. That was fun, mostly because of Cam Skattebo. I'm very excited about his future in the NFL. People have described him as like beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, which that'll be fun to see another iteration of that in the league. He's like, I guess Marshawn Lynch was like 5'10", right? You think beast mode, if you're not familiar with Lynch or the NFL or whatever, you would think, oh, this guy's going to be like 6'4", 250. No, it's like he's 5'10", 230, but my God, he runs angry and he's impossible to tackle. And I think that's what we can hope for with Cam Skattebo. I think he's projected to go in the high 3rd round or low 2nd round. So he'll be, I don't think he participated in the scouting combine, but he just looks like a dude who can just take some hits, but mostly doling out punishment, which is fun to watch. So, I don't think the Giants would be tempted to take him. I don't think, maybe you would, to compliment Tyrone Tracy Jr., who's a big guy, former wide receiver, but not the same kind of running style as Skattebo. So I forget who he was predicted to go to in a mock draft. I think it was like, the Broncos, maybe. Broncos need a running back. I know the Cowboys probably need one, even though they just signed what's his face from Denver. ASU losing that game was just outrageous. They had that game in the freaking bag. It was like 4th and forever for Texas, and they decided to guard the first down line and not even consider guarding the goal line. Of course, Texas scores a touchdown on 4th and forever. It's like, that's such a simple thing in my mind. Like, just tell 4 guys in the secondary, stand 5 yards from the goal line and attack anything. Do not let anything get past you. And instead, they, I guess, played for the first down, defending the first down, and Texas scores, then into overtime, and then Texas wins. So ASU, god dang. Sugar Bowl was postponed 24 hours due to the terrorist attack in New Orleans that killed 12 and injured more than 35 on Bourbon Street. I guess there were 2 IEDs found, disarmed, but they couldn't secure the area or kind of rule out any other further IEDs in time to make it safe. So they postponed it. One of the guys one of the people that died was Tiger Beck, who played at Princeton University for the Princeton University football team. I mean, with a name like Tiger Beck, it's like you're playing at Princeton or LSU. But he passed away in an attack, and then his brother, who's a big wide receiver, possible pass catching tight end. I think they have him listed as wide receiver, but he was like the MVP of the Senior Bowl, which happened in the beginning of February. So it was very emotional. He had 2 or 3 big contested catches, and then scored the game-winning touchdown. So it was like only fitting. What a story! But yeah, that's nuts. I can't imagine. Like, I just can't imagine. You know. Of course, my mom had a story about that, or related to that. Apparently, I never knew this, but so when the Giants played the Bills in Super Bowl 25, it was late January 1991. It was right when we were going to war in Iraq with George H.W. Bush, Herschel Walker Bush. The first Bush Senior. When we went into war, so January 91 was right when we were going into Iraq. And so tensions were high, and there was some chatter about there possibly being a terrorist attack at the stadium, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa during Super Bowl 25. So they really beefed up security. There were snipers on roofs, and of course, Whitney Houston delivers probably the greatest national anthem of all time. But apparently I just learned this, that my mom just told me, is that my dad wanted to go with me. So he would have taken me. I had just turned 10, like a couple months earlier. We were living in Lenoir, North Carolina, which is a suburb of Hickory, which is a suburb of Charlotte. We were not there long. I think I had just moved down there. My dad, I think, had been down there working and getting things set up while I was still going to school in Westwood, which is a suburb of Boston. So then I remember, January or December 90 or January 91 rolls around, and we make the trek. My mother and I make the trek down to North Carolina to move in with my father, along with my sister. And he wanted to take me to Super Bowl 25. And my mom, these are her words, threw a hissy fit, quote unquote. and it all comes back to the war in Iraq, and a possible terrorist attack. So it's interesting to think about, another sliding doors moment. I've never been to a Super Bowl, and the fact that I could have gone as a 10-year-old and seen one of the greatest Super Bowl games in pro sports, and one of the greatest games in NFL history. and for them to win on a missed field goal wide right, like that's, I don't, that to peak at 10. I mean, I think I already did peak at 10, but that would have been the ultimate peak at 10. And there's no way I could ever top that. Although maybe that would motivate me more to be like, I got to top that. I don't know. But so my mom put the kibosh on that. And so my dad went out and bought a humongous, quote unquote, TV, which in 91 pales in comparison to the shit you see nowadays. But like, I still vividly, we kept that thing forever. In fact, until 2006, 2007. So that TV was around for, dear God, 15 to 16 years. Quite a run. And it still worked. I remember watching the game, the Super Bowl, on that TV and being on my hands and knees. And, we weren't super religious at that time, but I was down on my hands and knees praying that Norwood would miss that kick. And he did. And then God's been paying me back ever since. He's like, yeah, you remember, he kind of used your one wish on the Giants winning Super Bowl 25, my guy. I'm sorry. Everyone gets one. Like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And you used yours. Okay? I'm not a genie. You don't get 3. But apparently that huge TV, and we moved a lot, as we'll get into with the history of houses, but like we moved a lot. I've said it before, I'll say it again, like a dozen or more times before I was 18. And that TV made the trip every single time, except when, after my father passed and my mom moved down to South Carolina, they finally left. They just left it in the house that in Manasquan that she ended up selling. She left it in the upstairs room where my sister was staying, which was a great spot. I loved being up there. I think we got to sleep there a couple times when I was home visiting. When they did the renovation, it was such a nice house after the renovation. And they just left it there because they didn't think they could get down the stairs, and they'd have to go through all these difficult things just to get it out. And it's like, HD is a thing now, like this TV makes no sense anymore. So had to leave it. But, it spawned a lot of interesting conversations with my mom. I don't know if I didn't get her official consent or approval for a lot of these stories I'm about to tell you, but I don't think she minds. She's a pretty open book. And it's been so long since a lot of this stuff has happened that I'm about to tell you that it's like, So, I didn't mention this in the December recap, but in December, I was like, man, I'm unable to close the book on my ex-girlfriend. Shocker, I know. And I was like, but I do think there's some good that can come out of me going through all the text messages. So there was a weekend where I just went scrolling on my laptop because I couldn't do it on my phone anymore. Just going through and scrolling back through all the conversations dating back to, they're only kept for a year. So I actually, lost August, September, October, and most of November, those text messages. But I just went through all the text messages and put them in a doc. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do what I do best and just overanalyze the piss out of this. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty here and find out how things went off the rails, where they went wrong, blah, blah, blah. And just see am I missing something? Is there something missing? Is there something what could I have done better? Where did I not pick up on it? Was I completely unhinged? Which, spoiler alert, yeah. But in January, and I thought maybe that would be a good exercise. I could just, you kind of, from what I've read and seen, and the advice is obviously you want to move on, you want to get closure. How do you get closure? Well, you kind of just really submerge yourself in all the shit and try and it's almost like you get caught smoking as a kid and your dad hands you a pack of cigarettes and is smoke the whole thing. It's just like, well, I'm just gonna swim in this pool of pity and pain and see, like, maybe I don't want to go swimming anymore after this. Nope, didn't work. So in January, I was just like, I still think there's a part of me that thinks there's a 1% chance that she's gonna reach out back out to me one day and be like, sup. And I'm gonna be like, sup, what's up, sup, you know? Um, and because and the only reason I bring this up is because I don't know if a lot of people know this that are not that are either younger family or friends that I never told, or a lot of this I kind of knew, but a lot of this I didn't know. My mom and dad dated off and on for 6 years before getting married. 6 years off and on. So that means multiple breakups. And I like I said in the episode, the episode where I detailed the breakup, and I said the chances. I looked at the chances or the percentages of couples that break up and get back together, and it's a pretty low percentage, like 33%, and even lower as you get older. So at the time I was like, well, I guess 0% is judging by what she said to me at that time, I was like 0%. She didn't leave the door open at all, slammed it shut. So, but I thought, man, we had a pretty strong connection that I have not had a strong connection like that, only with one other woman. And, I ended up proposing to her. That worked out really well. But I had known that my mom and dad have been off and on again. And so I wanted to get a little more detail on it because they got married and they had me and my sister. So do I think that's going to happen with my ex-girlfriend? No, obviously not. But I was just like, I'm very curious because I've never had it happen where I break up with someone and I get back together with them. There was only been, I would say, well, I guess it's oh, Jesus. 1, 2, 3. So there have been 3 times where I split ways. Either I was dumped or was I guess all 3 I did the dumping. And then we ended up hooking up after being separated, but we never got back together. Interesting. I feel like that happens. Maybe that happens more often where a guy breaks up dumps the girl and then the girl comes back wanting more and then they have the one last fling. Does that happen when a woman dumps a man? It's like, I want nothing to do with you ever again. Be interesting to know the numbers on that. But anyway, my mom and dad dated off and on for 6 years before they got married. My mother met him in July of 1971. Dated for the rest of that summer until he went to Mexico for medical school at the University of Guadalajara in late August of 1972. So it must have been for a year. And then they hooked up again in January of 1973. And from 73 on, my mom claims she never looked at another guy, which is a very almost like a Mike Pence thing to say. It's like, yeah, not once you looked at another guy. Don't you have a thing for Tom Selleck? How's that not looking for another guy or looking at another guy? Anywho, I get it. We get it, Mom. We get it. So they broke up the one time because my mother accused my father of seeing someone while he was supposed to be tutored in Spanish. Oh my God, this is such a crazy story. I love it. My dad always wore tennis whites. So he left for Mexico and wrote me a letter in which he had his address on it. And I ripped it into tiny pieces so I wouldn't know how to write to him. She stayed teaching in Rhode Island, where my father's from, through December of 1972, left for Oregon in January of 73. So it was December of 73 or January of 74. She drove to Cambridge, Massachusetts to visit her friend who she worked with and was getting her PhD at Harvard. They drank too much, my mom and her friend, and she called my grandmother's phone number, house phone number in Cranston, where my father was living, and got my grandmother, eventual grandmother, my father's mother, on the phone. And she said my father wouldn't be home for 2 weeks. And she said, okay, I'm off to North Dakota. So if he wants to be in touch, he knows where to get my number. So meaning back in those days, no cell phone. So my father would have to call my mom's mom, my grandmother, eventual grandmother, and ask for my mom's phone number in North Dakota. So my father took her up on that request, demand, and ended up calling my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, and got my mom's phone number in North Dakota. And they started talking again in January 1974. Oof. So you want to talk butterfly effect, dude? Holy shit. Sliding door shit. You want to talk about that shit? What if my mom and her friend didn't get drunk? I mean, it's like, what? If they didn't get drunk and then she didn't call my dad's house and ask for my dad to call her, like, what if my father's mother, my paternal grandmother, hung up the phone and was like, I'm never going to tell my son? What if my father calls my mother's house where my maternal grandmother picks up, and my maternal grandmother is like, nah, dude, you had your shot. She done. I don't care what my daughter wants, requests. I'm not giving you her number. So many things had to happen for me to get here. And that's why, I get down. I mean, I know, spoiler, shocker. Whoa, stop the presses. I get down a lot. And like, to think that all these stars had to freaking align for me to be here right now is crazy town. It's cool. I dig it. And that's why it's like, whoa, what does it make me think of that I just watched recently? Oh, The Watchmen. Watchmen Chapter 1, which I talked about last episode, where it's Dr. Manhattan and his kind of like ex-wife, I guess, Silk Spectre 2, are on Mars. And I know you're thinking, Jesus Christ, Neal, you're such a freaking nerd, dude. Why are you bringing this up? Well, Dr. Manhattan was like, he basically had lost all interest and care for or empathy for the humanity. He was like, why should I spare humans? Like, they don't matter. Nothing matters. And then it's revealed that Silk Spectre 2, like how she came to be, and she breaks down crying and, has this discovery. And that's when Dr. Manhattan is like, but look what happened. This awful thing happened, but it gave us something so beautiful in you. So, long way to go. Am I saying I'm Silk Spectre 2? Maybe. So yeah, my mom had broken it off because she suspected him of cheating. So that's where my mind started racing. You're wondering, like, how you're not able to connect the dots like I can, and that's okay. She dumped me. My ex-girlfriend dumped me. So like, is she going to eventually come around and be like, you know what? And then she's going to get drunk and be like, I don't know. I mean, he did do that thing with the thing that made me do the thing. So that was my intention, my ulterior motive in talking to my mom. But it was very helpful to know all this stuff. Because I don't think she ever told me she got drunk with her friend and called the house. Like, a lot of this stuff was news. It was like, I knew that they broke up and got back together, but I didn't realize that that's what actually went down. So she even said, that had I not gotten drunk and had I not called the house, what would have happened? I don't know. And it's like, oh, that's a great point. If you're one of those people that's like, well, it's fate. And I've watched plenty of Groundhog Day type movies where you get the multiple chances and shots, and it's like eventually something clicks, but who knows if that would have happened. She then went on to say that she had loved a guy before she even met my father. Dated from 68 to 71, thought they were going to get married, and the last time she saw him, called him and asked him to meet her at a small mall in Rhode Island. He came, but told me he never wanted to see me again, to stop hanging on to a dead dog, which Is that an expression? I don't know. That's a crazy expression. But yeah, I guess you got a dead dog. Like, let go. If he doesn't break up with my mom, am I here? No. Maybe not in this form, but maybe there's a different version of me out there. One who's not in a sad dad pad. She also informed me that my grandfather, her father, was called Junie in high school and college. Why? I don't know. His name is Harold, and we all called him Hal, but yet his nickname was Junie. Okay. My mom was just like rapid fire hitting me with these tidbits and stuff. And it's amazing. Like, when she gets going, she gets a head start full of steam. She can just unleash the beast. It's just, incredible, the kind of stuff that she shares with me. And it just goes to show that, like, as much as you think you know your mom and your dad, and part of the reason why I do this, even though it's like wildly unsuccessful, is because, my daughter will eventually grow up and maybe she'll stumble across this, or maybe I'll just share it with her at some point, but she'll get to know me on a deeper level that she can't know right now as a 6-year-old. So, and it's also like, did I really know my father? I only got him for 25 years, and it felt like I only really started to scratch the surface of who he was in the last 3 to 4 years of his life. It felt like we were just entering that phase where it's like, okay, you're now an adult. You have a full-time job. You have a salary. You're paying taxes. Now I get to dump all this stuff on you that I've been holding back for the past 25 years. Like, I was looking forward to going to a bar with him and having the heart to hearts and the father son chats that, a lot of, hopefully a lot of people do have once they're all grown up. And I never got that. So stinks. But, it's nice that I still have my mom, and my mom can reveal all this stuff to me. There are certain times where it's like, I'll just get in a mode where I start asking her questions. I go in full interview mode. I did it once in high school. I don't know if I did it really in college, but I remember I did it one time when I was home for Thanksgiving. It's just like, you just kind of, oh, okay, she's opening up. Let's get to going when the going's getting got. That's not an expression. Hit the iron while it's hot. She said, I thought you'd enjoy this little sidebar. The summer that I dated Radio Edit, we used to socialize with Tim Mara, former co-owner of the New York Football Giants, and his wife Gail in Seagirt. She says she thinks they eventually divorced before he died, but they lost touch once summer was over. She says that Tim was a character, quote unquote. The summer that the Giants had training camp at Monmouth College in Seagirt was overrun, or not Monmouth College. Monmouth College is in Long Branch, putting the shit together. But she said that Seagirt, which is near Long Branch, was overrun with New York Football Giants players, and Alex Webster lived there, and Tim Mara had a summer house there. So interesting, because Tim Mara and Wellington Mara had that big brouhaha back in '79 that eventually the league, Pete Rozelle, NFL commissioner, had to intervene and be like, guys, you need to just hire George Young as your general manager and you'll be Gucci. And sure enough, he was right. But I think Tim Mara, interesting. I think over maybe Christmas, my mom was telling me about how she likes to make these, she's very arts and crafty, sews, quilts, crafts, stuff like that. I mean, the one room she has down in her house in South Carolina is like, it's overfloweth with ribbons and whatnots. But she was telling us over Christmas that, like, showing us pictures of how somehow she was hanging out with someone that knew, I want to say Gerald Ford or Jimmy Carter. It was a president in the 70s. And that they liked my mom's craftsmanship so much like her handiwork in terms of like Christmas tree ornaments that they commissioned her to make one for the Christmas tree in the White House. I was just like, why am I now just finding out about this? Like you've had 44 freaking years. Why are you laying me on now? But yeah, what a life. And that goes for everyone's parents. You look at your parent and you're like, oh man, but there's so many stories that they're just not telling you. And they're just waiting for you to ask questions. And even my mom brought it up on a recent conversation, like, she was saying that she wished she asked her father and mother more questions before they passed. And it's like, I feel like this is her way of telling me to ask her questions. Like now I gotta do some research. So I thought that was interesting. The daughter and I went to a brunch at Sesame Place. So my mother was kind enough to purchase season passes for me and the little one, the kiddo. Even though I feel like my daughter is 6, but she might be a little too. It's like just on the, I don't know, too old to go to Sesame Place. We'll see. I don't know. We'll find out. But one of the perks is you get to go to these meet and greets at the park. If you're not familiar, I used to work at Sesame Place the summer after my sophomore year in college and the summer after my junior year in college. I was probably one of the oldest employees in my department, guest relations. Like a girl I went to high school with hired me. She was my supervisor. She was like the big wig, fat cat of that department, like the head of that department. And so I was like a line employee working with 15 and 16-year-olds. Hey, Neal, why are you so fucked in the head? That might have something to do with it. But yeah, so it's been a while, Q-stained, since I've been there. I don't think I've actually been to that place in 23 years, 24 years. So, I didn't really remember the lay of the land as well as I thought I did. So we got there early, but then I parked in a place and walked the complete opposite way of where I'm supposed to go for a good 5 minutes. So we ended up being late. But Tango's Forever Friends. So Tango is like a new character, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to Sesame Street or Sesame Place in a long time. My daughter, I tried introducing her to Sesame Street. I don't think she got too into it. She's like familiar with a lot of the characters, but doesn't really follow it that closely. But Tango, from what I can tell, is a dog that is like a special dog. Like it has a vest and a helmet or something. It doesn't like loud noises, which is ironic because they put on a show where it was loud as hell. But it was a good time. It's interesting that the park is closed because it's January, but they have this meet and greet at the one location where it's basically an all-you-can-eat buffet of breakfast foods. And then they put on a little show. And before the show, the costume characters come out and they meet the kids and they take photos and whatnot. So that was fun. But my daughter was the biggest kid there. She towered over all the other kids. And a lot of the kids were like toddlers, babies. She was the tallest by a good foot, But she is a big kid for her age. She's like in the 80th, 85th, 90th percentile. So, but I did wonder as I'm watching her like dwarf these other kids, like, is she too old to be doing this? Maybe. So, but it was a good show. All lasted maybe an hour, less than 2 hours. And I definitely got my fill of food. Hell yeah. Took a lot of decent, good pictures. Of course, they get you. They get you with we're going to take all of these really nice professional photographs that look really great. And then we're going to sell them to you after it's done. And I'm like, all right, it's fine. I'll buy them. I was planning on buying them, but then it was like, every package is wildly overpriced. Like if you want a print, like you can't just buy a photo. You have to get a package And the cheapest package was like 80 some odd dollars. And I'm like, what? There's no way. Why does it cost that much? And so I was like, all right, can I just like, what if I don't get it printed? My thought process being, well, like it must cost more to print. Like digital's cheaper than print. Yes, no, maybe so. I mean, that's like print is dead. Hello. And so I was like, well, it's got to be cheaper for digital. It was $50 for the digital package. It's like the 50, huh? Just for the files, for like the files and and the size that they take up and how much that's costing you to just have on a server, like $50. Okay. So of course I bought that. And this is what's wild is that we bought two things. This is now we're about 2 months later. We bought two things there and I'm struggling to remember what the hell what we bought there. It was two things. It was, it must have been, maybe it was just the one thing. Okay. Maybe it was just the one thing. The 50, I think that's for the photos. And then the 45 was for a pair of like pajamas, dude. Pajamas, which I have no idea where those pajamas are right now. The most expensive pajamas I've ever purchased in my life. That's including me. That's including family. That's including loved ones, like romantic partners. Like I have never purchased pajamas that are $45 freaking dollars. But that's just, I'm at that age now where it's just everything is overpriced. It's just like, it doesn't matter what it is. Everything is too much, too damn high, too damn much. But I think she had a good time. Would I do it again? There was an opportunity to do it like last weekend. And I was just like, I don't know. So, I guess with the season pass, if you go twice, you get your money's worth. So I'll have to figure out how to work that out. But I feel like even at 6, she's too old. But we'll see. I mean, like the stuff that she's doing and watching and consuming now and playing now feels like I still don't look at her as a 6-year-old. I still view her as like, oh, she's 8 or 10. She's 6. Still got a lot of growing to do. There are a couple of trending searches that I kind of stuck out to me for the month of January. How to lose face fat. I don't know if you're watching the video, you can tell. If you're not, check it out. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of my face fat. I don't think I've ever been able to get rid of face fat. Like I remember we were watching the Super Bowl and like Tom Brady just is like, whoa, 0 fat on that face. And it's a little disturbing. So I'm a big fan of fat facing. So I don't know if I want to lose face fat, but I do get a little perturbed by the jowls, which you can definitely point out here. You can definitely see these jowls. But I don't know. Part of me is like, I think jowls are cool. Like I remember it just looks kind of dope. You kind of look like what's that cartoon character? Droopy? What's the dog? The dog with the jowls? Dog Droopy? Droopy dog? I mean, I am Droopy dog in human form, which is not great. But yeah. There's something about the jowls that kind of like a bulldog's jowls. They look so freaking cool. And you just like, and they shake their head and the spit goes everywhere. Freaking love it. So yeah, I don't think I'll be losing face fat anytime soon. And it's it's the new year, so people are doing resolutions and they're trying to get healthier, lose weight, make more money, and so that makes sense for these searches. I don't know. I've always had a pretty big, gigantic face, and that's pretty evident when we get to my experience with the AI headshot generator. Oh my God. You don't really pick up on how big your face or your head is until you ask someone to create a photo using your head. So lose face fat. I don't know. I mean, like, I had done some interviews with a plastic surgeon based out in San Diego, and he, specializes in facial plastic surgery. And it just, I don't know, man. Like I see, I watched the Oscars recently, and it was Goldie Hawn with Andrew Garfield, and it's just like, what happened to your face, man? Like, I know, I don't know. Oof. So I'm against fucking with your face. I feel like it rarely turns out the way you want it to. But I guess if it's on the flip side, if it does scratch the itch, itch to scratch or whatever, it really does help you to get that peace of mind, then I guess I'm for it. I've known people close to me that have gotten surgery, and it's nothing really over the top. There's a woman I worked with who got surgery that it was like, yeah, I could see that. And I actually think I've been thinking about doing what she did, just because, you see yourself in a certain angle and you're like, oh man, what? So I get it, but I don't know. Some people they go a little too far. Okay. How to make money was also a trending search, which I think is such a funny search. How to make money. And I mean, my mom had sent me no less than 100 reels. She is like the reel queen. She loves watching reels and she loves sharing them, and she'll share them rapid fire, a dozen at a time. And they're all about making money. And it's like, look at this person. They made $13,000 in a month. And I'm like, Mom, there's no fucking way that person right there, who no one has ever heard of, makes $13,000 a month creating adult coloring books for Amazon. No, challenge flag. I'm sorry. So, but I'm at the point now where unemployment benefits have run out and I don't have any prospects in the job market. So it's like, you know what? I guess I got to start watching these freaking reels from these people who use AI to make 5 figures a month. Why not? It's like what I've been doing hasn't been working. So it's like time to branch out a little bit. Neck massage and head massage were also top searches in January. I love massages. I'm not at the point, I'm not like Deshaun Watson, Justin Tucker level with massages. If I had a Patreon, we could talk about massage stories, some of the more lewd and lascivious ones. But I love giving massages. I'm big on that. I think the first massage I ever saw was in the movie Men at Work, where Charlie Sheen says that he's a phrenologist and he is massaging the scalp of the lady he's trying to bed to court. And that must have had a profound effect on me. When did Men at Work come out? Because I feel like that was another movie, in addition to Loaded Weapon, where I was just like, I'm watching this nonstop. 1990 it came out. So yeah, that would have been right around the time where like things are starting to happen within my body. The wheels are turning. I'm becoming a man. And I thought, oh, well, massages are the way to go. So it's the fact that they're, I've never, we're not going to go down that road. But neck massage and head massage, I do. That was something that I wish I was better at. I think I did that. That was like my move in college. Like, would you like a back massage? Oh, well, in that event, I do have to ask you to remove your shirt and bra. My God, Jesus. But yeah, neck massage, head massage. I don't think I've ever given a head massage, although I did do that a lot. There was like a stretch in 2013, 2014 where I was doing the head massage a lot, and I don't think it went over very well. I don't think that went over well with my partners. Eventually they were just like, what the fuck are you doing? Can you stop? We are in public. Neck massage. Yeah, I was getting good. I think of my most recent feedback was that I did pretty well. To the point where I was like, is this my calling? Like, should I pursue this professionally? And I haven't completely ruled it out. Add that to the ever growing list of things that I've entertained and thought about. Park ranger, library assistant, technical writer, medical coder. Oof. So yeah, massages. About it. Not getting a ton of massages. What's weird about massages is like I've now given it as a gift, and I think it is appreciated by the ladies that have been in my life that I've given it to. And it sounds like it helped them. Whenever I get a massage, it feels great in the moment. And then I cannot sleep that night. I get awful sleep that night of the massage. And then the next day I'm sore as shit. So I'm like, am I better off for having done this? Doesn't feel like it. Maybe I need to quit on the deep tissue shit. Maybe that's the problem. I can only imagine what a massage therapist thinks when I pop the top off. It's just like, like I don't want to touch that. History of houses. So I kind of tease this here and there, everywhere, leading up to this. But I just, for whatever reason, I keep getting emails from I don't even remember who. About the value of the house that we owned in Wayne for literally 2 years. I don't know why. Maybe I like did a search for it on a site, and then I must have checked a box, and they're like, we're going to send you updates every freaking year. But the old house that we had at 21, I'm not going to tell the address. Come on, Neal. You're better than that. In Wayne, New Jersey. We purchased it for $5 something. Okay. I think the interest rate, annual rate, APY, whatever, was like less than 4%. It was like a great time to buy. Got it at a great price. Our mortgage was like less than $4,000 a month, I believe. With, 2 people with full-time jobs. So, and then we ended up selling it right after the pandemic. And we made a profit of like, 70 some odd $1,000. I got an email in January. That house is now valued. So we sold that house in May of 2020. So like 2 months into the pandemic, because it was like a mass exodus from the cities, right? From a lot of the cities, high population areas, like F this, we're working remote. It doesn't look like there's any end in sight. We're going to the burbs. We're going to the rural places. And so a lot of people were moving out of the cities and moving to the suburbs, and we were in the suburbs. So there was a high demand, and it went very quickly. And we made a profit, but it's now valued January 2025. It was valued at $820,000, which since we sold it has increased in value $272,000. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, it's probably not good for the mental health. Like thinking about like, well, if we just stuck it out another 5 years, if we just stuck it out another 5 years. And looking back, that house, I had a lot of issues with that house, quibbles, if you will. And looking back, it's like, well, it was all pretty much fixable. I mean, it was a bad reno job where they just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say half-assed it, but it wasn't the best, most thorough, polished job that they did. And so it was a lot of, well, now we have to spend even more money to get it fixed. And I don't know. It felt like if this is a reno, we're the first residents of this place after it's been renovated, it should be like tip top, and it wasn't. So that kind of got under my skin. But, and a little bit of a weird layout downstairs on that main floor, and the fact that like we have to enter through the back all the time, kind of weird. Driveways in the backyard, whatever. garage is separated, no electricity, whatever. So, and I just remember having so much hope for that freaking house. Like, oh, this basement, it's unfinished now, but when it is finished, like everyone's going to want to hang out down here. I can be like, I don't like to use the word man cave or that expression, but like this, I could turn this into like a nice little place to hang out down here, similar to what we had with the house in Hopewell and a lot of the other houses that we had. And then, if the kids, plural, because that was the plan, plural. If they want to get away from it all, they can go to the garage, which is separate from the house. And there's like an attic area, and we can finish the attic area, and they can go there if they just want to get away and be alone for a little bit. 2 years. We lasted 2 years there. So, but talk about history of houses. Like this is not the full version, thank God, but because I gave the full version, which I can do for my February recap while visiting some friends in Block Island. But the house that that I talked about that was in Westwood, a suburb of Boston, is now like $2 million. Insane. My grandparents' place in Seagirt, right on the beach there, is now like $4.5 to $6 million. Even my mom's old house in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that was on a golf course, she sold it for like less than $300,000. It's now worth $500,000. And the house in LBI that my parents bought when I was very young, like 1 or 2 years old, they bought it for $250,000. It's now $1.6 million, and nothing's, that one's a little less, like, not impressive, but, it has been 40 some odd years. I would hope it would gain in value, but that's quadrupled in value. I don't know if is that normal? So, it is one of those things where it's like, if we just stuck to one house, if you just stick to one house and gut your way and grit your way through all the trials and tribs, all the ups and downs, all the pains of being in that area, whatever is coming your way, if you can just stick through it, you're going to make a pretty little return on it once you end up selling it. I mean, like I see a lot of, I watch a lot of movies and TV shows. I don't know if you're aware, but it always seems like that feels like the dream to have and I guess that's the premise of that movie Here with Tom Hanks and Jenny, Robin Wright, Penn Wright, where it's just like, we're going to show you the timeline, the whole time lapse history of this house, this one house that this family has lived in from the time it was built to now, built in the whatever 40s or 50s to now, and all the things that happen in that house. And it's just like that's the dream in my warped sense of aspiration, is to like have you inherit the house from your parents who inherited the house from their parents who inherited the house from their, like, that's got to be pretty cool. But, it's the grass is greener on the other side type of thing. Like, rock stars want to be athletes. Athletes want to be rock stars. Like, I'm sure people who have lived in the same house as their family for years and years and years are like, man, I would love to have traveled and seen all these other places. So who knows? Can you put a dollar value on an experience? You know what I'm saying? Apparently not. So that's the history of houses. I finally sold. If you've been watching the videos, you notice that my daughter's old bed is gone. No longer here. And that's because I actually sold it. I'm not a salesman by any means. And I often just resort to, after a week or two, being like, all right, it's free. Just come pick it up. I'll leave it on the porch. But I was able to sell this, and I kind of stuck to my guns on this one. It's a Paw Patrol bed that I think goes for like 80 some odd dollars, maybe 90. A used one I saw on Amazon was selling for like 75. So I like initially listed it for 50. And then, Facebook Marketplace is just my own personal hell. It's just like people reaching out, and then you reach back and they never respond. People lowballing the fuck out of you. Like, I'll give you $5. Like, that's I mean, come on, guy. You gotta like, I'm gonna go back and say $45 to you now. What's happening? So it is. I hate Facebook Marketplace, and this. There were people that were like, I can come over right now, and then you say okay, and they're like, oh, something came up. It's just, And the one guy was like, I eventually lowered the price to $40, and the guy's like, I'll offer you 30, and I'm like, I had another offer for 40, so I'm going to sell it to them. He's like, all right, fine. I'm like, I cannot believe this is where I'm at in my life, where I'm haggling over $10 for a freaking bed that I'm just going to put outside and put a sign on it that says free. And he ends up coming over, and I have to take apart the bed in front of him, which was kind of nerve wracking because he was very like eager to get involved, and like, I think our hands touched a couple times. It's like, all right, hey guy, what's the rush? Where's the fire? But he was like, he eventually asked me, why are you getting rid of it? Which is, it's a totally fair question. And I said, well, my daughter outgrew it. And he said, how old is your daughter? And I said, she just turned 6. And he was like, what? And he almost like backed out on the deal. He was like, nah, no shot. What kind of friggin' child prostitution ring you got going on there? No, what? No. My daughter's, like I said, 90th percentile, height and weight. She's a big gal. And he just couldn't believe it because he was buying it for like his 5-year-old kid. So he's like, so I'm only going to get a year out of this thing? I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure your kid is not my kid. So it was good to get that out of the bedroom and get it out of my life. Open up some space because we're a little tight on space here. But yeah, just like, no matter how much information you put in a listing, people will still ask questions that are just like complete. Like I put a picture, I downloaded the image that is on the Amazon product listing page of like that measures out the bed, that tells you the measurements of the bed. And that was like the lead photo in my listing on Facebook Marketplace. And he's like, so what's the size on this? And I'm just like, I don't know how you missed it, dude. It's like the first thing you see. Wow, Facebook Marketplace. Apparently my friend's cousin made like a bank on Facebook Marketplace, could acquire carpet for free and was selling the carpet on Facebook Marketplace at like a premium price. It's just like, I can't sell air. I can't sell water to fish. Would explain a lot about what's going on in my life. I had a bar crawl with a married couple. Hey, I was a third wheel, and these are my friends from Rhode Island. I went to their son's graduation party last summer, and I have been invited to their daughter's high school graduation party. We'll see how that goes down. But just happy to be, still talk. This is my buddy from growing up in Rhode Island when I was, 10, 11, 12, 13. Still keep in touch. Groomsman in my wedding. And it's me going up there, and I was like, I'm not doing anything MLK weekend. Why don't I just pop up there and we can hang out? What are you guys doing? And they said, no, let's come down to you. And I was like, whoa, okay. All right. Let me put together an itinerary. What do you think about a bar crawl? Because Princeton is like, unless you are like things to do in Princeton, it's like museums and also museums, like tours. And it's just like, all right, there's a lot of history here. Got it. And I was like, I don't, in terms of things to do, there's some really great places to eat and to drink. I know that much, right by the university on Nassau Street in Palmer Square. And so that's what I proposed. And he was down with his wife. So they came down. We met up at like 4:00 at Yee Tavern Restaurant and Bar, not associated with Mr. West, Kanye, Yee, that frickin' Nazi, allegedly. This is the bar at the Graduate Hotel. So the Graduate Hotel, usually it's a chain. I know I stayed at the Graduate Hotel in Charlottesville, Virginia for a wedding that was down there, and it was pretty awesome. I thought it was a good time. I didn't spend a lot of time there. I mean, I was running late as it was. So I think the price that I had to pay to just sleep there for 8 hours, ooh, okay, a bit much, but in a good location. They got cool stuff to do within the hotel itself, but we were at the bar, started off there, and got some nice seats right at the bar. The bartender was awesome, made some really nice drinks. Do I remember the drinks? No, but I know that one of them was pink. So that's your boy, girly drink drunk. I don't think they're gonna have. I do this every time. I should just learn to write it down, dude. Write it down. Laid back bar and restaurant open to locals and visitors alike. A menu of elevated pub favorites and unique pre-prohibition era cocktails. Our name comes from a storied local restaurant that once occupied the same site in the 1930s. Well, good for you. But yeah, we had like 2 or 3 drinks there. It was a pretty good time. There was I couldn't help but notice that there was, I think someone was having a date next to me. We were in the corner. We're kind of at the end of the bar in the corner, which is actually a really nice spot because you get to see the whole room. You don't have to worry about a lot of people bumping into you, trying to get by. Prime real estate. And like to the right of me was a woman who was like well put together, well dressed, like well kempt, I guess you'd say, with a guy that was just like the definition of grody. Like just like, I don't want to say like granola hippie type vibes, but like very like scraggly beard, hat, baseball hat, like maybe just rolled out of bed. And I was just like, oh, so this is am I about to swoop in here? Like that actually crossed my mind. Like I'm about to swoop. I've never swooped before, but this could be it. This could be it. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, but a very upscale bar. Didn't have any of the signature drinks that I was hoping for. Like they have a cranberry Moscow Mule, a Vermont Maple Teeny, a French 75. I don't know if I had that one. A hot cinnamon and maple whiskey sour. I don't think I got to try that. Spiked mulled cider. So a lot of stuff that, you're like, what are your signature drinks? And then they rattle them off and say, we're out of all of them. So from there, and I had it all planned out. I had a route. I had a map, and I marked that map, and I shared it with a link. Took a screenshot, drew it out, our route, screenshot, shared the screenshot, created a map on Google Maps, provide the link to the map. So from there, each stop was about an hour and a half, which I feel like is a good enough time at each stop. And so from there, we walked to Winbury's restaurant and bar. This is the place where me and the little one celebrated her graduating from kindergarten. And this time the 3 of us sat at the bar. Again, a pretty decent spot. It was right by the cash register, which can be annoying if you let it be annoying. But right on the corner there, can see the TVs. It was during the divisional playoff weekend. So I think it was Chiefs Texans was the first game. And then it was Lions Commanders for the second game on that Saturday. So got to watch the game. And Winbury's, we were there for probably 2-ish drinks. Not too bad. Again, I forget what I had. Sucks. But I did I switch? I don't think I switched here. I think I was still going stiff Cox, mixed drinks. But they do have craft beers there, but I did not have a craft beer. I don't even think we ordered food. We were getting kind of hungry though, a little peckish. But should have wrote down what I friggin' drank. I'm so pissed. But my buddy's wife, not that buddy's wife, another buddy's wife, who I guess I should say is also my buddy. Yes, she is my buddy. she ended up ordering something that did not sit well with her. It was a martini, and I want to say it was like a very sweet mango peach type martini, kind of a fruit type infusion, and she didn't like it, so I ended up pounding that as well. So like I always get caught in these situations where it's like, all right, we're leaving, and I'm like, I have a full drink and I gotta pound it. I feel like that was every stop. It's like, all right, we're gonna head out, and it's just like, I just got this. All right, here we go. So from there, what did a dragon? Is that a drink? Oh, I think methinks it was called a dragon. And they have I get that. I get it. We didn't order a beer. I know that much. Maybe I ended up ordering a beer here. It was like, I gotta switch it up, but I don't think I did. Nah, dude. Nah. Let me see here. Oh, is it this one? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, she had the pears of apples martini, I think. Millie, well, I gotta, like, I'm so old. Millie vodka, St. George spiced pear liqueur, apple juice, simple syrup, Angostura, apple blossom bladders, apple blossom bitters. So I think she had that and was just not a fan. And then I had the dragon's breath, dude. That's what I had. Oh, so good. Pierre de Almas, mezcal, mango nectar, habanero, dragon fruit, lime juice, agave nectar, hellfire habanero shrub. Fucking speaking my language, dude. And then I don't know if I had another. I probably had another dragon's breath. That was so goddamn good. Yeah, I don't think I might have had something else in there. Maybe a crimson and clover, just because I love the song. I might have mixed that in. I don't think I did a Princeton 75 or a Gimlet or sangria. Thanks. Sangria is good for like a drink. That's what I've always like whenever, and it's a young mistake to make where it's like, would you like a fucking barrel of sangria, a pitcher of sangria? And you're like, fuck yeah, look at the price on that. And then after your first one, you're like, I don't know if I don't want any more. So excuse. It's possible I might have gone for an old fashioned, but not really. So yeah, that was a good stop at Winbury's. I like Winbury's in terms of like, I don't know about sitting down and eating, but like sitting at the bar, pretty decent. So from there, it's now around probably 6 to 7 o'clock when we're getting a little hungry. So we go to Triumph Restaurant and Brewery. I have not been to Triumph Restaurant and Brewery in legitimately 20 years. I think the last time I went was in 2004, and I was hanging out with my buddy from high school, and we went there. And we got some oatmeal stouts from that one tap. So good. I think that might have been upstairs, though. So Triumph has two. It's in Palmer Square. There was live music, but I think it was upstairs. So there's an upstairs main floor, and then there's a downstairs. You go down the stairs, and it's a little more loungy, nightclubish down there. No dance floor or anything like that, but that I'm aware of. But like neon lights, kind of darker mood. And that's where I made the switch to craft beers. Good choice, Neal. Good choice. I ended up going with the Honey Blonde, a lighter option that's well received by patrons. And the other one I was considering was a Bengal Gold India Pale Ale. I might have tried that. I'm not too sure. But we ended up having some food there. Do I remember what we had? Great question. Let me see if I can pull up the menu. I do this every time. Pulling it up, and we're pulling it up, and we're pulling it up. All right. So we did. Yeah, we did. Did we? Yeah, we did. We had the sweet potato and pistachio dim sum with persimmon. Definitely not pronouncing that right. Puree and smoked maple syrup. I was toit. I like that a lot. Do we have the grilled octopus? I don't know, dude. Maybe. I know my buddy had I believe he had the Grigstown chicken. Did we share a plate of oysters? I don't know, dude. They had mussels, oysters. I ended up getting, I don't remember if I got the short rib. I think I might have gotten the short rib. So freaking good, dude. But yeah, I don't think we did the kimchi fritters. I don't think we did the oysters. Oh, I got the Three Little Pigs. that's so on brand. I got the Three Little Pig sandwich because I'm a little pig. It's smoked pork, ham, bacon, smoked Gouda, fried green tomatoes, arugula, smoked onion jam, and a pizza wrap. I don't remember that. It was fucking pizza wrap? Oh my God. So, and I choked that down because like we ordered a shit ton of appetizers and stuff that came before it. And I already had like a belly full of booze. So I had to choke that down. I was like, well, we're not carrying this around and I'm not letting this go to waste. I am Ace Ventura and Ace Ventura 2 when nature calls, when he's eating the zebra with other lions. None of this goes to waste. So yeah, Three Little Pigs, smoked pork, ham, bacon, smoked Gouda. I mean, I haven't done the pork, ham, bacon combo since like 2013. That was like my Saturday morning, Sunday morning staple after a night out. All hungy, all over. And I was just like, oh, give me all the pig in a wrap. So, trying to think what my buddy got. I think he got the fried chicken, maybe, or the Grigstown chicken breast. Ooh, yeah. So that was good. I had the spot. Probably a little bit too much. I know. So unlike me. But from there, oh, and meanwhile, my buddy at the previous spot, he's like, do you see, was it the previous spot or was it this spot? He goes, you see that guy sitting in the corner over my shoulder? And I'm like, he's like, don't look. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and look without looking. That always goes well. And he's like, that guy's really pushing my buttons. Like, I'm sorry. Come again. Pushing your buttons, dude? First of all, come on, we're not that old. We're not that old to be saying someone is pushing our buttons. And how is this guy pushing your buttons? Because that guy has, like, I've defied your order to not look, and I'm looking directly at this guy. He has not looked over once. So I think you're in the clear. So that became a running gag the whole rest of the night. I think that guy's pushing my buttons. Do you think the waiter's pushing our buttons? So crazy. And then from there, yeah, we ventured over to Yankee Doodle Tap Room at the Nassau Inn, which is a place that I have scurried through with my daughter when she was in an emergency pee situation. She's like, I gotta pee right now. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna cut through this bar to the bathroom connected to the hotel. So we get there, we sit down. Now, far be it from me to be like someone who has his thumb on the pulse of what's going on in the nation and the world. This place has TVs, lots of TVs, a ton of TVs. Okay, we're sitting at the bar. Across every TV, it's like college basketball, horse racing, like stuff that, like, it's divisional playoff round weekend for the NFL. The NFL, if I'm not mistaken, is the most popular sport in America. And yet we're watching a fucking Boston College versus Villanova college basketball game in January when we're legitimately 2 months away from conference championships. Okay. And what sucked was we sit down and I'm getting that vibe from the bartender. Like, she's at her wit's end. like there's a table of people, and they're all either BC or Villanova alumni, and so they are like, she must have tried to change a channel on another TV and it changed it on the big screen that they're watching. So then they lose their minds and they're like, hey, what's going on? Why'd you change it? Turn it back to the game. And she's like, all right, already. So she's already at losing it. And I'm looking around and not one TV. I mean, legitimately, there's got to be like 3 or 4. Like if you're sitting at the bar, 3 or 4 at the bar, and, you know, take your pick, put a number on it. In terms of like, there's probably half a dozen more other TVs around the room, and not one has the Lions Commanders game on. Not one. And it's just like Commander, like Lions, you know, haven't, you know, are Super Bowl contenders that have not won the Super Bowl ever. The Commanders have not been this far in the playoffs in a very long time. It's a highly anticipated game that I love to watch. And so I'm like, and I was like, I know you don't want to hear this right now. This is me talking to the bartender. I know you don't want to hear this right now. And she's like, nope, I'm done. No more changing channels. And I was just like, okay. Okay. Just going to swallow the rest of that request, bury it down deep. And so I ended up putting the game on my phone and propping my phone up against the thing. And I think she eventually, you know, took a breather, took a lap, emotional lap, as the Peloton instructors always say, and eventually regained some sense of sanity, came back and was like, what channel is the game on? And I was like, oh, you know, it's Fox. Like, you know, so she eventually came around and was nicer about it. But I was like, I think, you know, I might not have a larynx. I might get my throat ripped MacGruber style by this bartender. But she came around. Yeah, it was not a very welcoming, I hate saying vibe again, but like the feeling, the energy in the room was it was like, this is where people go to fight. This is where people go to throw the fuck down. So that was a one and done type bar. I think it was like, all right, it was nice to see it. Very nice to see you. We will never be coming back. I would go back there, but it was just, it was tough. So from there, the last spot on the crawl was The Alchemist and Barrister. If you listen to the October 2024 recap, we went there for dinner for Halloween. When it was not dinner time and there was no one there. So it was a little bit different experience this go round, where like literally we were the only people in the restaurant last time in the back area. This time it was like, we're going, you know, right when people are starting to head out for the night, you know, college area, college students, you know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That's when things start to roll out in terms of the beginning of the night. This was the end of our night. So fitting. And so it was kind of crowded, and we ended up finding a spot way at the end of the bar. Tough way to end the night, because I don't know if they're short staffed or what, but they did not have a dedicated bartender there. It feels like they had a guy run back. He would make some drinks, and then he'd run to the front. He'd run back, make some drinks, run to the front. And it was just like, you are never coming to this end of the bar. So what did we have at Yankee Doodle Tap Room? I think we just had, I know. Let me see here. Drink menu. Boom. This is what I'm talking about, people. Host your drink menus. Let's see here. Oh, I should have had a bee's knees, but I ended up going with beer because I was like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. No, this is not what I want. Shit. Where would I find? Oh no. Wow. So they have cocktails, but they don't have the beer menu. That makes sense. Fucking A. Cocktails, but no beers. Got it. Well, they have a house beer, the Yankee Doodle house beer, that did the trick, hit the spot. there was some kind of, there was, oh, fuck, there was an IPA on tap that had a great name, and I can't remember the name, but it was like, it's one of those names where it's like, well, I got to try it. I want to have it. I got to try it. And so she ends up pouring a little bit for me, and I tasted it. And I was like, oh no, this is complete rectum. Yes. This is the inner sanctums of the anus. No, thank y'all. So I passed on that, and I just went with the Yankee Doodle Ale, the house brew. So then at Alchemist and Barrister, I had a good drink here. I got a feeling about this. I think it was like a whiskey drink. The vodka drink was a whiskey drink. And of course, they're not going to have it here, you idiot. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will. Let's see. Drinks. Oh no, draft beer. Did I have a beer? I might have done a beer, but I think I was like back in on mixed drinks. You know, where you go through that. It's almost like the stock market, or like seasonal type timeline graphs where it's like, all right, you want to start off strong with mixed drinks, but then you want to peel it back a little bit with the beers. And then to cap off the night, you got to go specialty drink. Oh yeah. Cozy Fireside was the drink I had, Alchemist and Barrister. Cinnamon infused bourbon. Yes, please. Brandy, Fireball, cranberry, egg whites, and sours. Oh, shit was good, dude. And then I think I chased that. I followed it up with either a spicy margarita. You know what? They might have been out of the Cozy Fireside. Now that I think about it, I think they were out of the Cozy Fireside. Or were they out of Sweater Weather? Because I think I might have ordered Cozy Fireside or the Sweater Weather. Sweater Weather is house-made spiced rum and hot apple cider. Ooh, that sounds good too. And then there was an apple and day and spicy margarita. All those sound good, and all of them were good. So highly recommend. So was the bar crawl. Ended up walking them back to the hotel. The bar obviously was closed by that time at the hotel. And then, we're like, yeah, we're totally going to meet for brunch the next morning. And then it was just like, you know what? We're not in our 20s. And this brunch, we're no longer doing bottomless. So we skipped that and they headed back home. But it was like quite for them to take the drive down. I know they had Monday off, but they had to drive down, for the night basically, and then drive back up. So I really appreciate them making the effort. Very rare that I get someone to be up for visiting. But all in all, a very good outing despite people pushing my friend's buttons. Iconic songs of the 2000s was trending. The top trending 2000s songs artists were the Black Keys, 50 Cent, Eminem, Usher, and Lee Hyori. What? Lee Hyori? Who the fuck is this? South Korean singer, record producer, activist, actress, and television presenter. Debuted as a member of the group Finkel, Thin KL, in 1998, which became one of the most popular girl groups in South Korea during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Oh, she's 45. Oh. And okay, can we play a little song here? Let's see if we can play a little song here. Her solo debut in 2003. It's wild that this person could be so famous in an area of the world, and I have like zero idea. This is wild. Became known for her sex appeal. What? Okay. All right. Is there like, okay, here we go. Peak chart positions for her albums. Talk, Talk, Talk. Korea only, Korea. Bad Girls. Hey, Mr. Big. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Please stay behind. Okay. I can't. I'm not. No. I can't. I don't. Yeah. Usher. Hell yeah. Black Keys is interesting. Like the Black Keys, they have a lot of hits. I don't think they did. Call me crazy. Call Me Craze. Formed in Akron, Ohio in 2001. Emerged as one of the most popular garage rock artists during a second wave of the genre's revival in the 2000s. Band's raw blues rock sound draws heavily from Auerbach's blues influences, including people I've never heard of, but one person called Howling Wolf. Okay. Friends since childhood. It's pretty cool. Oh, they won 3 Grammy Awards? Lonely Boy. See, Wikipedia should allow you to play like the first, like a sample right on the page. You know what I mean? Let's see if I remember this song. On FanDuel Casino, new players get fucking unbelievable, dude. All these goddamn commercials. Oh yeah. That's a nice song. Yeah, there's like a chunk of songs from the 2000s that I freaking loved in that time that I either forgot about or they stopped getting heavy rotation like on streaming services. And I rediscovered it last year on a playlist. And I was like, this brings me joy. What happened to this? Why did this disappear from my life? So yeah, those are the iconic songs of the 2000s artists. Some very interesting. Lee Hayori? All right. I guess I got to play at least one song from her, right? Like, come on now. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Uh-huh. Yeah. What? Okay. Uh-huh. Say what? Come again? Feeling it. All right. Yeah. Banger. Okay. I get it. That's nice. All right. Cool. All right. I think it's probably time to wrap this up. We're coming to a close here, folks. Gonna do a little rapid fire action, hopefully. Maybe not so much. Something wild happened in my job search and my quest for unemployment. My quest for unemployment never happened to me before. I had at least 5 different recruiters reach out to me about the same exact position within 5 minutes of each other. It's never happened to me before. I doubt it'll happen ever again. It was for a role that I am not exactly the most qualified for, which was really blew me away. And it's all because I had experience with a tool that they use that I guess not a lot of people use, you know? And that's really it. And I even said to the recruiter, I was like, listen, I use this tool, but it's not for what they use the tool for. Like I can use it, I can learn it, I can figure it out, but it sounds like you're telling me that they need to hire ASAP. Like they're hiring within the next week and they want this person to hit the ground running. And I'm telling you, I'll try, but there is no try, only do. So, and then they set up an interview for like maybe 2 or 3 days later, and they ended up canceling and saying they hired someone. I was like, damn, that is, when you want something bad enough, you can move quick enough to make it happen. So I ended up hosting the first ever play date at my place. I haven't really invited a lot of people to this place for very obvious reasons, but I was like, you know what? I think I owe my daughter's friend's parents because they offered to take my daughter for a play date and give me a couple hours apiece to do some stuff. So I'm return the favor. And so I did it this time. And I was like, you know what? Why did it take me this long to get into this? Because it's pretty awesome. Like, your daughter has a friend to play with. And so your daughter's having the most fun. And they don't request and ask for that much. I mean, there were only 2 two questions where I was just like, this is no. And they wanted me to play with them. And I was like, no. That's not what this is. By playdate, I mean, you two play. So I ended up getting a lot of stuff done, which was great while they played, and they didn't require a whole lot of tending to, which was great. There was a lot of pretend that coming out of their mouths, like pretend that this, pretend that that. And I'm like, you guys weren't even done pretending with the last thing and you're on to the next pretend thing? Let's see this pretend thing through to the very end. Let's not kill a good thing. So it was a lot of pretend that you're doing this and pretend that. And it was like by the time they got done saying pretend that you're this, it's like they're already saying pretend that this. It's just like, all right, guys, hey, let's flesh this out a bit. Let's not just scrap the idea and go on to something so quickly. But it was like probably 3 hours, maybe a little more than 3 hours, and it went by very quickly. And and I didn't think I'd be able to pull it off just because it's it's not a house with a yard and like a playground. It's like it's a 2-bedroom apartment. I would prefer it if you're not in this room. You can stay in that room, but there's not a lot of space. So luckily, that was also the day I took down the Christmas tree. Finally took it down. I was like, I think, with February we're on the brink of February. We're about to turn the page on this calendar. I think I need to take this down. So I spent, most of my time taking down the Christmas tree, which really opened up the space and allowed them to set up like a kind of picnic area where it's like they're laying down blankets and quilts, and then they like line the blanket and quilt with toys and whatnot, and then they set up the iPad. I am so amazed and blown away by the iPad and its impact on kids. That I could never in a million years have ever thought that like this little screen would ever beat out a massive 65, 55 inch TV. It boggles the mind. I can't wrap my head around it. Like they would rather sit and lay in the most uncomfortable positions. They're not even on the couch, on the floor, and not even laying down on their back or on their stomach, but kind of like child's pose. If you're a yogi, like I am, like almost like child's pose, watching this tiny little 12-inch iPad. It's like, okay, but if this is, this is how you get your rocks off, go for it. My daughter has also become obsessed with the Sam and Cat show, which is wild. My daughter has a very interesting way of approaching franchises and IP. SpongeBob SquarePants, 20 some odd seasons, tons of TV episodes. She prefers the movies. Doesn't want to watch any of the TV series, watches the movies, most of which not great. Would prefer to, like for a long time, preferred Sam and Cat versus the two shows that preceded it that you would probably need to watch to understand most of Sam and Cat. For those who you don't know, Sam and Cat, Nickelodeon show, executive produced by Dan Schneider, who's allegedly done some stuff, who is one of the subjects, if not the main subject, of that Quiet on Set documentary about kids in TV, child actors that a lot of people watched on HBO Max and Discovery Plus. But so Sam and Cat, it's Sam Puckett is the one girl, and she is from the show iCarly. And then you have Cat Valentine, who's played by Ariana Grande, who is from the show Victorious. So that's where the two characters are originally from, iCarly and Victorious. They got together I forget how they get together, but they're living together in a very nice apartment that was given to them by the cat's grandmother. And I was like, oh, cool. It must be nice. Like the whole Dan Schneider universe, Schneiderverse is just like absurd. I think he also worked on All That, which was like the Nickelodeon comedy sketch comedy show that was like Saturday Night Live, but like kids, or Mad TV, but kids. And so, she was just like, and it's on Netflix now. So, it only ran for like less than 2 seasons, like a season and a half. There's 30 some odd episodes on Netflix, and she is just, just watching and binging and rewatching Sam and Cat. And it was, at first, it was driving me nuts because Cat, for those who are not aware, Ariana Grande, before she really hit it big, it was like right as she's like basically blown up to superstardom, she does this voice on Sam and Cat, which is like, it's like no one talks like that, dude. And I know that like you want to, as a show creator, showrunner, or as a creative mind, you want to give the people unique characters, compelling characters they've never seen before. I get it. But holy fuck, dude. The voice that Ariana Grande and Ariana Grande, and I've mentioned this a couple times to my daughter, is like one of the best voices, if not the best voice on the freaking planet. Like, if you've ever seen her appearances on the Jimmy Fallon show, like not just singing, but her ability to imitate other singers and sing in their style, just her vocal range and unbelievable. Like, I would love to see, and maybe this has already happened, but like I would put her like above Christina Aguilera, who I put above pretty much everyone else. So I'd love to see them get together and do something. But anywho, the voice she does for this character is like, wait, so is this woman special? Like, does she have what's going on upstairs? Because like the way she's talking and the way she behaves would lead you to believe like this is not like Dumb and Dumber. this is special education. So that took me a while to get used to. And then they introduced Goomer, who I don't know who Goomer is, what show Goomer is from, but big guy who supposedly is like a MMA fighter, like mixed martial arts fighter. Like, it's very of its time. Like 2013, 2014 is when UFC really kind of hit the mainstream and like got popular with the mainstream. And so I feel like they tried to work that into the show, and they had this guy who's a big guy be an MMA fighter. And I know not every MMA fighter is shredded or jacked or whatever. Like, a lot of them are just like lean and maybe have like some fat on them just so they can absorb the punishment. So this guy's an MMA fighter. He's from Louisiana, and he talks even more special, quote unquote, than Cat. It's just like, how do they have 2 characters like this? Where it's just like, there's not, it's just, ugh. It hurt my brain. It hurt. And then I'm watching Sam Puckett, and it's like, whoa, this is just a dude. This is like, basically, this is whoever Dan Schneider is. This is Dan Schneider. This is what he does and likes, but in the form of an 18-year-old attractive girl who's in high school. But like, and there are no parents anywhere. There are no parents. And I'm like, so they're in high school. Their parents are nowhere to be found. Like, the one Cat's parents are like with her brother who's in a special institution. And then Sam just has the mom who ran off somewhere. And it's like, they're just 2 high schoolers living by themselves in an apartment where the grandmother is at a senior citizens home, elderly home. What that happens? I can't imagine being able to do that when I was in high school. But like knowing what I did when I got to college, holy shit. So, but it starts to grow on you. And they're like friends with like this 11-year-old, 12-year-old boy. Like, how are you guys friends? Why? You guys don't go to high school. You're not, he's not in high school. You're not in high school. He's a neighbor. And like he wears a fedora and he's into gambling. Like, what? So I had a lot of questions watching Sam and Cat. And I even asked my daughter, I was like, hey, you know, first of all, that's Ariana Grande. She's one of the most popular, most famous people in the world. Like she's this well-known singer, like get to know her. And she's just like, there is only one singer, it's Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh boy, you've gone too far, huh? And I was like, these two characters are from two other shows that I think you should watch, because then you would get to know them and you'd understand like why they are the way they are. In this show, iCarly and Victorious, we should watch them. She goes, nope, like just shut it down. Like not even going to entertain the idea. And I was like, wait, really? Like I'm giving you license as a 6-year-old to watch shows that are not appropriate for you. Like, they're not like that bad, but like there's kissing and, there's just some stuff that's like 6-year-old probably shouldn't be watching. But I'm like, it's ultimately with everything else that's out there. It's like, relatively speaking, it's kosher. So eventually she just started to come around and now she's of course obsessed with iCarly and Victorious, both of which are significantly better than Sam and Cat. Like Sam and Cat started to grow on me, but I think it's just because like that's all we consumed for weeks on end. And it was just like Stockholm syndrome at a certain point where it's just like, well, I guess I gotta kind of have to like it. But like you go back to Victorious and like the first season, Ariana Grande just has the regular voice, and it completely threw off my daughter. She's like, whoa, why is her voice like that? I don't like it. And I'm like, oh no. Well, I guess this is, someone had a note and they told her and she really ran with it. So, but even those two shows are just like not based in reality. And I understand that like it's entertainment and people don't want reality. Like even reality television isn't reality. But like iCarly, for those unaware, like these shows came out when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. Like I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have kids. I didn't watch kids at that time. And so I was completely, I heard of iCarly, but maybe Victorious, but I never paid an ounce of attention to any of it. And so like iCarly, it's Carly and her brother, again, living in a massive apartment, 2-level apartment in a high-rise building in Seattle. Their father is like in the Navy or something, so he's never home. And I don't know what happened to the mom. So it's the brother, big brother, Spencer, who's like, I don't know, just out of college, maybe should be in college, but isn't, supposed to be a lawyer, but instead is a sculptor. And then Carly, who's in high school, who starts this web show, quote unquote, because it was 2009 when the show started, I think. And so you didn't have, I guess a lot of what's social video that's going on now. But so they start this web show. It's her, Carly, and Sam Puckett, her friend from high school. And then this guy, Freddie Benson. And it's like they have a full-blown studio. So they have a full-blown studio. In addition to, Carly has a massive bedroom. In addition to, Spencer has a bedroom that you never see. In addition to a huge living room, huge kitchen. No parents. and yet, this is totally normal. Cool, yeah. I did feel bad for. I do, I do kind of dig Spencer Shay's the cut of his jib. Like he's just, you can tell he's heavily influenced by like Jim Carrey, and a lot of like his mannerisms and his delivery and his behavior. And he gets me sometimes. He gets me right in the guffaws. So I don't mind putting it on and watching it with her. So I dig what Spencer is. There's another kid, Gibby, like his whole thing and his whole catchphrase is just saying his name, Gibby. And it makes me think, like, why did I give up on writing a television series? It seems pretty straightforward. It seems like I could do it. Why did I give up on it? Because the stuff that's popular, it's like, oh, like, it's just, don't overthink this, guy. So yeah, they do this web show, and it's like super popular, and I don't know, like the doorman's named Lubert, and he's one of the most annoying people in the world. The way he talks, and he's got a massive wart on his cheek, and I was just like, but people are lapping it up, people are eating it up, and then Victorious might even be a little more bonkers. It's set at a Hollywood Arts high school where it's just like you have to audition to get into the school because it's only for the performing arts, like I guess super talented people, very hard to get into. And so they're all very talented, and they're all very harshly critical of anyone that is not super talented. So it makes me feel real good about myself when I'm at the lowest of the low and like, wait, what is my talent again? Do I even have talent? It would appear no. Survey says no. So that one's a bit of a harder watch. Well, it's iCarly's a hard watch because like this web show sucks, but yet I can see why kids love it. Like me as a grown ass man, this is just awful, but like kids love it. So I get it, man. I get it. But it was tough because I see like Freddie Benson, who's usually behind the camera doing all the technical production stuff, he gets a shot at being creative, and he's met with crickets. And I'm like, his shit is not as that bad, and is not as like it's almost as good as the stuff that you guys are doing. I don't know why that got to me so much. It was just like, ugh. But this Sam Puckett character definitely acts like an old man. Like only eats fried chicken, but yet is fit as a fiddle, constantly eating ham, just constantly eating junk, garbage, but yet thin as a rail. And like always has her hair, like everyone has their hair like expertly done, but like they're high school kids. It's just like, there's a little bit of a disconnect here. I don't remember high school being like this, Oof. So, and of course, the lead actress in Victorious, Tori Vega, looks very similar to, if not identical to, the one girl in my daughter's class who my daughter is like somewhat obsessed with. Like we went through a period where she could not stop talking about this girl. She has since quieted down, and I feel like we're in a better place. But I'm like, wait a minute. I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh my God, this girl looks exactly like the girl that she like has this weird fascination with. So I'm feeding the beast. You're an enabler. I sure am. So that's the Schneiderverse. I won't even get into the math issues that how they're teaching new math. I can't get into that, but it doesn't make sense. And I showed it to some other people, and they're like, "Wait, this is first grade math?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So don't know if my daughter's going to work at NASA, which probably won't even be a thing when she's of age. The top search Sundance Films: Atropia, Twinless, The Dating Game, The Librarians, and Prime Minister. Now, keep in mind, Sundance was mid-January. Atropia is a 2025 American war satire film written and directed by Haley Gates in her feature-length debut, starring Alia Shawkat, who was on Arrested Development, but was also in that movie Blink Twice, which was very good. Oh, Tim Heidecker. Tim Heidecker was in it. It received mixed reviews from critics. 41%. There are only 34 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but 41% of critics gave it a favorable review, with a 5.9 out of 10 rating. No reviews from the audience, but Ferouz is the star thespian of Atropia, a fake country in the U.S. military has devised for immersive training. Huh. Though she takes great pride in her work, Ferouz believes her tenure here is but a stepping stone on the way to an illustrious acting career in Hollywood. When she meets Abu Dice, an experienced soldier playing the role of an insurgent, their romance quickly threatens their respective ambitions and questions their allegiance to the military and Atropia's purpose. Comedic love story cast against a uniquely absurd American backdrop. I mean, sounds intriguing. I don't really. Oh, Chloe Sevigny's in it. Nice. Always a big Chloe Sevigny fan. Says Atropia. Don't know when that will be making the rounds on streaming services. Twinless. Come on now. Twinless does have really good ratings from the critics that have reviewed it. 43 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.6 out of 10 rating. Top critics, 100% of top critics, the 11 top critics gave it a favorable review. 7.6 out of 10 from top critics, 7.9 out of 10 from all critics. No reviews from audience yet. It's a comedy/drama, aka dramedy. Let's see. Directed by James Sweeney. Also written and produced by James Sweeney. Do we have any information, fellas? No. Let me see here. It's a black comedy. Stars Dylan O'Brien alongside some people I am not too familiar with. The premise is two young men strike up an unlikely, sexually intense friendship after meeting in a support group for twinless twins. Okay. Interesting things. It's been called a dark, inventive comedy. Metacritic has a score of 81 out of 100 based on 13 critics. Universal acclaim. Oh, because Dylan O'Brien plays both twins, Roman and Rocky. It won. So Dylan O'Brien won the U.S. Dramatic Special Jury Award for acting at Sundance. It won the Audience Award in the U.S. Dramatic category and was nominated for the Grand Jury Prize award in that category as well. So that'd be something that could be interesting to check out. The Dating Game. Check this out. Oh, I wonder if this is going to be just like, it's Woman of the Hour. They must have changed it. I wonder if this is the same. No, I think this. Wait a second. The Dating Game movie, Sundance. Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's not the same. Okay. In a country where eligible men greatly outnumber women, 3 perpetual bachelors join an intensive 7-day dating camp led by one of China's most sought-after dating coaches in what may be their last-ditch effort to find love. This is a documentary. Am I in this movie? Oh, boy. Kind of been out on documentaries lately. I don't know what my deal is, but 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. It's only 51 ratings. But I mean, that feels like when I was single, everywhere I went, it was just like so many guys, no girls. 65% of critics gave it a favorable review on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.2 out of 10. So I don't know if that's like a must watch. The Librarians is the next one. Not to be confused with the TV show. I don't know. Okay, here it is. Librarians unite to combat book banning, defending intellectual freedom on democracy's front lines and unprecedented censorship in Texas, Florida, and beyond. This is also a documentary. Interesting. I don't know if I'm dying to see that. Prime Minister is the last one. That's also a documentary chronicling Jacinda Ardern's tenure as New Zealand Prime Minister, navigating crises while redefining global leadership through her empathetic yet resolute approach. Okay. nominated for the Grand Jury Prize in the World Cinema Documentary category, and it won the audience award in that same category. So feels a bit, I guess it has a 72 on the Metascore is 72. Okay. I don't think I don't know if I'm like trying to see that one either. So Sundance is like interesting, man. It feels like Sundance was so top of mind when I was in college and right out of college. And then it feels like it's kind of lost steam since then. Like, can you, and this is not the first episode where I've talked about Sundance, but list of best Sundance or list of best movies to premiere at Sundance. I guess A Different Man premiered at Sundance. That was really good. I like that a lot. A Real Pain, which I just watched, that premiered at Sundance. That was also a very awesome movie. I didn't think I'd like it. My Old Ass, which is on Prime Video, which is a high recommend from me. I love that. I love that movie a lot. That was really good. Looking over some of these other ones. Winter's Bone. Still haven't watched that. Fresh, which I had to turn off. It's about like cannibalism. I can't do it. Duel, which I think I ended up falling asleep while watching that. It's such a good premise, but then the tone is very like sleep inducing. Brick, which was pretty decent. Coda, which either won the Best Picture at the Oscars or was nominated, which I still haven't watched. And all right. Well, okay. That's enough of that. So I don't know. I guess time will tell with that. Yeah, a lot of this other stuff is like whatever, kid. Winter blues. The search term winter blues hit a 5-year high in 2025. How to Beat the January Blues was a top related breakout search during that month. My daughter, undiagnosed, unofficial, but I'm pretty sure she has SAD, which stands for seasonal affective disorder, which is a real thing. I think I have it as well. Symptoms include fatigue, depression, hopelessness, and social withdrawal. Treatment includes light therapy, which I still can't believe. I mean, I guess you consider this light therapy. I don't know if this is the right kind of light, though, because I have to have the light for the video. So maybe that's helping. Talk therapy, which this also could be considered talk therapy, and medications, which aren't working. My dad had SAD as well. And then that prompted me to talk about how, I would give up everything in my life to have my daughter meet my dad for just one day. And then I told my mom that, and she responded, yeah, I read something about grief the other day, and it basically said you grieve the loss of the person in the past, but the thing you grieve the most is what the future could have been. It's true. And then she sent me a crazy like meme screenshot that says, when you realize some of your siblings will see all the funerals, one will see none, and one won't have any of you at theirs. Like, oh my God, dude. The winter blues are in full effect. Winter hobbies, the top search winter hobbies and activities in January were art class, which I'm coming around on. I think that I don't know if I want to do art class per se, or if I want to just go hang out with other people and draw shit. Is that art class, or can I do I need to have a teacher grading me and coaching me, or can I just go and draw things and then I can see what other people draw? I don't know. Therapy. It's a top winter hobby. Yikes. Museums, which I'm a sucker for museums. I'm the guy who spends way too much time trying to read everything, which really just turns on the people I'm with. It's like they love that. Like, you don't have to do any of this. You're not going to retain any of this information. Candle making is a top winter hobby, and a Spanish course, which is ironic because I ended up signing up for Duolingo I ended up taking Spanish in high school and into college, and I still cannot speak it. So we're talking about at least maybe 8 years of taking Spanish, still can't speak it. I can read it, can't really write it, can't speak it, but crushing it on Duolingo. And I do love Duolingo to the point where I was like, what is the Duolingo for other things? Like other things I can learn. So, the voices on Duolingo are pretty funny too. Like there's kind of like the ennui character from Inside Out 2, who's very like monotone and like over it and bored. And then there's like a very kind of like Spanish novella soap opera type character who speaks in a very dramatic, emphatic cadence. So my free trial runs out pretty soon. I was like, normally I cancel on this kind of stuff, but I might keep it going. Top searched cold weather comfort food. By the way, candle making is something that I could see myself getting into when I officially snap and need to go off the grid. Like when my daughter, I'm no longer, I don't want to say tethered, but like responsible for my daughter. Like she's an adult. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going into the wilderness and making candles. Top search cold weather comfort food. Rosemary potatoes. Fuck yeah. Sausage soup. Fuck yeah. Cheesy potatoes with kettle soup. Okay. Broccoli chicken soup. Hell yeah. And lasagna. Oh, let's just do all that. Let's have a feast. A winter feast. All that sounds amazing. And I want to make all of it and I want to eat all of it. But it's, we're now coming out of winter. So my time has passed. Although I've gotten into the slow cooker again. It's usually just a winter thing for me, but I'm like, this is so nice and easy that can I keep it going through spring and summer? Stay tuned. Oh my God, we still have so much left. So I'm gonna breeze through these. Descendants 1 and 2 and The Rise of Red. I've watched all these back to back to back. Of course, not in order because my daughter's a psycho, a weirdo, which I love. We started with I was like, normally people start with the first movie and then they watch the second and then the third and the fourth. They don't start with the third, then watch the fourth, then the second, then the first. That's not usually the order of things. But now my daughter, she starts with the most recent one, The Rise of Red. And then she ended up watching Descendants 1 and then Descendants 2. Is there a third one? Maybe. I don't know. But it's like the reason why you have so many questions, my dear, is because we have not watched the first two. Do you want to watch the first two? No. Okay. I don't have a lot to say about this other than like, basically, you just have to make sure every person has a different color. Like you are red, you're all blue, you're all green. That's how they define characters. This stood out to me though. I mean, the first Descendants is like, I can't believe this got enough viewers that they decided to turn into a whole franchise. But here we are. There was one scene that really stuck out to me, and I was like, I gotta look this up. This is absurd. It's a scene where Harry, who is the son of Captain Hook, I want to say. So if you've never seen Descendants, any of the Descendants movies, it's basically like all the characters are descendants of classic Disney heroes and villains. So you have like the son of Captain Hook, you have the twin sons of Shmi, you have Maleficent's daughter, Belle and the Beast's son. Like that's the kind of the main takeaway here is like Cinderella marries the prince and they have a daughter and whatever. Queen of Hearts has a daughter named Red. So there's a scene where Harry, who's like the Captain Hook's son, played by Thomas Doherty, who is a looker, pulls Mal, who is Maleficent's daughter, played by Dove Cameron, pulls her hair out of her face And that was like, I don't like to throw this word around a lot, smoldering with some very high sexual tension for a kid's movie, made for TV movie. The way he pulls her hair out of her face was almost cut due to the intense chemistry between the actors who had started dating during filming. And it's like, yeah, dude. I mean, like the amount of like, you want to talk about quiet on set? They should make a documentary about like the kind of the level of hooking up that goes on backstage behind the scenes on these Disney and Nickelodeon made for TV movies. I mean, you have like all these hormonal teenagers, college age kids getting together. They're all like, they're there for a reason. It's because of how they look and how much talent they have. So I can only imagine what goes on. Holy crap. But like that really stood out to me. I was like, this is, whoa, avert your eyes, kiddo. Because what you're seeing right now is intense in 10 cities. I was like, oh my God, what's about to go down right now? Is this the director's cut? And then I'll finish up with 3 last things. First is trending movies in January, Back in Action. I was excited about this movie when I first heard about it. Cameron Diaz has been away from movies for a very long time. She said she was done. She said she was out. And then they pulled her back in for this movie with Jamie Foxx that feels like it's just been done to death. It's like, it's basically The Union. Like The Union is a movie with Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, where Halle Berry, they went to Mark Wahlberg's character and Halle Berry's character went to high school together. Halle Berry then goes on to become an agent, secret agent. She recruits Mark Wahlberg. They fall in love, blah, blah, blah. And then this is kind of like, it just feels like the next step for that, where it's Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz are both former secret agents who started a family together. They got out and now they're being pulled back in. It's just like, I can't bring myself to watch it. And it sucks because like Netflix is charging me almost $25 a month now. For what, dude? It's like all movies I've already seen that they license, right? And then the original exclusive movies that they're putting out stink. So like, why am I watching? I'm literally feel like I'm holding on to Netflix just because I'm waiting for the last season of Stranger Things. I don't know. And you just keep jacking up the price. It's just, thanks for being a loyal viewer. We're increasing the price $5. No reason why. My guess is because of all the live streaming they're doing, all the live broadcasting they're doing with like the football games on Christmas and Chris Rock and Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson and roast of Tom Brady, shit like that. It's like stuff that, I watched, I'll watch it. But is there enough of that to justify that price? I don't know. Companion is interesting. I know, speaking of Netflix, Subservience is that movie with like, it's an AI robot helper nanny type played by Megan Fox. And it's got horrible reviews, but it's like, I'm always tempted to watch it because it is Megan Fox. And it is like, something that I do spend a lot of time thinking about. But there's another movie that it's in the same vein called Companion, which is apparently way better. It is not available on streaming services yet. I think it's going to be available in the next month or so, maybe on Max. I'm not sure, but it's essentially the same premise. It's like, but it has what's his face from The Boys. He's the son of Meg Ryan and he just played Reagan. Dennis Leary. Man, that sucks. Dennis Quaid. We got there. So Companion is a yes to check out. Subservience, props not. Flight Risk was another movie that was trending. This one's interesting. It's kind of got like that Venom response from the audience where like critics hate it and audiences eat it up. Where it's got like a really bad reviews and ratings from critics, but like the audiences love it. Mark Wahlberg is like bald. That's basically like let's see if I can find this. Okay. Action thriller directed by Mel Gibson, starring Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topher Grace, follows a pilot played by Mark Wahlberg transporting an air marshal played by Michelle Dockery and a fugitive played by Topher Grace across the Alaskan wilderness where the identities and intentions of those on board come into question. Film received negative reviews from critics and has grossed $43 million worldwide. Yeah, 29% of critics. Bald Mark Wahlberg is fun to look at. 29% of critics gave it a favorable review, 4.4 out of 10 rating. But audiences, 62% of verified audience members gave it a favorable review with an average of 3.6 out of 5 rating. But the all audience number is lower. 54% of all audience gave it a 3.2 out of 5 rating. So, don't know if I'll be. That's got to be like I've emptied the tank in terms of my queue in order to watch that. Although I'm sure I'll watch it when I'm down in South Carolina. Unstoppable is another movie that was trending. There's been a bunch of Unstoppables. Is this with inspiring true story of Anthony Robles, who was born with one leg, but who's dominated the college wrestling circuit, became a champion wrestler in college, competing against the very school that rejected him. Might have to check that out. And then Wolfman was the last of the trending movies in January. This one's disappointing. I got kind of excited about it, but it's a horror mystery thriller, but 49% of critics gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 5.2 out of 10, while 56% of verified audience members gave it a favorable review with a 3.4 out of 5 rating. And the all radiance is slightly lower than that. So San Francisco husband and father inherits his remote childhood home in rural Oregon after his own father vanishes and is presumed dead. With his marriage to his high-powered wife, he persuades her to take a break from the city and visit the property with her young daughter. As the family approaches the farmhouse in the dead of night, they're attacked by an unseen animal and in a desperate escape barricade themselves inside the home as the creature prowls the perimeter. As the night stretches on, the husband begins to behave strangely, transforming into something unrecognizable. It stinks too, because with the success, obviously, I think Universal was trying to revamp or resurrect the monster movies franchises. They tried to do it with The Mummy. They had a whole plan. They had was it Benicio del Toro or Russell Crowe was there were plans to do movies with them for the Wolfman and for maybe Frankenstein or something, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I think. And so the first of the franchise was going to be The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and then it bombed so horribly that they're like, nope, stop everything. We have failed miserably. But then I kind of got some more hope when we had The Invisible Man with the lady from A Handmaid's Tale, who used to be married to Fred Armisen. So The Invisible Man, her name is Elizabeth Moss. It was such a good movie. Came out in 2020. And I thought, okay, this is going to be the start of the monster movies franchise universe, because it got amazing reviews from both critics and audiences. And I'm like, okay, so Wolfman must be the next logical next movie in this universe and this franchise. And to see it tank like it did and be so poorly received just sucks, man. So that was the last of the trending movies. And then trending trends. You're So Funny is the top trending trend. Now, why do I bring this up? Because in high school, I had a crush. I mean, shocker, I had a crush on a girl, but I had crushes on most of the girls. So that's not very unique or special. But the one girl that I had a crush on, I had the fortune was blessed to sit at the same table as her during lunch. And I remember I would constantly try and like make her laugh. And she would do the thing where she would just say, "You're so funny." And it was like, you know when if the person does not laugh and gives you that smile that is not a happy smile and says you're so funny. Like I know people think I'm on the spectrum, holler. But even then it's like, oh, I have my doubts about your opinion that I am so funny. I have my doubts about the validity and the of that bold claim. So that just if you ever grasping at straws and thinking like, how can I really piss off Neal right now? Just say, "You're so funny." And then that'll do it. That'll do, pig. That'll do. So I don't even want to talk about this other shit. AI headshot generator, like I signed up for it. It's $40. You upload like a high res photo, and I see ads for it all over LinkedIn and across Instagram, and then I ended up doing it, and it's like, oh my god, no one's gonna believe this is real. And you can go on my LinkedIn profile right now and look at it, and you're like, nope, you're obviously not real. Like he's got too much. He doesn't have any face fat. Where are his jowls? ¿Dónde está los jowls? So, was it worth it? Let me work it. I don't know. I mean, I'm using it. No one's called me out yet, but I think, it's that same situation where I think the majority of people out there, 99% to 100% of people that I know refuse to give me feedback. If anything, they'll say like, "Oh, you're so brave." Just like, that's the equivalent of like, "Man, you really shouldn't have done that. You really fucked yourself over doing that. You're so brave." So I'm so funny and I'm so brave is the takeaway here. And that's the episode. So another long one. You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We still got to get through February and we're already halfway through March. Oh my God. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Next episode is probably going to be me reacting to NFL free agency and all the moves that the Giants made. We also have the Mets season they're in spring training right now, but they're towards the end of March are going to kick off the 2025 season. Oh my God, it's here already. Holy shnikes. So I'll be previewing the season and recapping a lot of the things that I have not talked about yet in terms of like the other offseason transactions and moves. Re-signing Pete Alonso. Hello. Sean Manaea. Hello. So that should be fun. But until then, I got 2 words for you. Suck it? No. Adios, muchachos.